could you? How vigor could you on the first day of your last day of class? I'm I can't believe I'm stuck with fellow students like you. You've really got to pick yourselves up if you wanna make the most of this course and make the most of your student debt. You know. Yeah, I've heard that this last class in this the University of Universities course of music is the most important and influential class that you'll ever take in your entire career as a musician. So you better listen up. Oi! To the classroom. How are you? Look! Oh my God! Why is it on fire? What have you done? What have you done while I wasn't looking at you? I wasn't late. I'm always on time. Of course, Bubblin's always on time. I see, Bubblin. I see. Good on you. I will give you an extra point in the class scoreboard because I see you were sleeping under the desk. You've actually been here before anyone else was, right? Very impressive. Very impressive. Everyone should be more like Bubblin. All of you, more like Bubblin. Wait! But Tenderloin was the first person to catch the worm. What? Does that mean they were here even earlier? Maybe Bubblin, because Bubblin slept overnight. Bubblin actually slept past the worm, so Tenderloin was the first to catch it. Congratulations, Tenderloin! Oh my God, this is like the end of a saga. Tenderloin's been like trying so hard every single time to catch the worm, and they finally done it! Oh, I'm so proud of you! I'm so proud! Congratulations! Wow! Yes. Yes, good child. Has he died? We'll get to that game. How many boys do we start off with in this class? I don't know. We'll have to ask the teacher. The teacher's coming soon. I'm just a class rep, you know. I'm basically your substitute teacher with no actual authority. Welcome in! Welcome to class, Tenderloin! Talented Tiger! The amazing, the wonderful, the illustrious. Please go check out Taro if you haven't already. I give them a very quick little shout out at the start of this stream. And if you may, you can just click on their very bright red little name over there. Hop on over to their forest. It's very warm. It's very cozy. They have lots of corn. They have a lot of cheese, a lot of art, and a lot of games, and a lot of hugs. Everyone's favorite. Thanks for coming in, Cal. I know you're like super busy and super tired lately, so I hope you're doing well. Baba Tube, how have you been, Baba Tube? Welcome in. Are you ready to learn about music? How many musicians are here? Let's have a show of hands. Put your hands up in there if you're an aspiring or admiring musician. Maybe you don't want to be a musician yourself, but like you greatly admire them from afar. That's also very respectable. That's like me, but with people who do musical theater. I can never bring myself to do that in real life, but like oh my God, I will admire them forever because holy crud. But barely? What? Of course you can have Sidonia! What are you kidding? What? Where did you come from, Sidonia? You will all be qualified musicians by the end. Do you understand? Yeah, that's right. Special! How is Special here? Welcome to Special! You will be a musician, Special. Volvex, you will be a musician. Baba Chup, you will be a musician. How? You'll be a musician. Simpson Nato's video. Hope he gets free soon. I want to keep the back and forth going. Yeah. Fortunately, looks like Nato is fighting some grand epic boss battles at the moment. Let's hope that they make it out alive, well, and leveled up. It's just weird as I know, right? Isn't it so amazing? Doesn't it make you wonder who made this music? Who could have possibly made this amazing and oh my god! Are they watching my stream on their stream? Who could have made this very incredible and elegant and professional BGM? Phew, that's a question for the ages. I wonder if we'll find out by the end of this class. Oracle! Oh my god, hi Oracle! Welcome to the class! How do you do today? Cool Bacon Kid, welcome to the class! Hey yo, bird addicted, I was not late, this is Slater! I accept that there were some early birds here. I accept it and I acknowledge your early attendance. I forgot how to max. Oh no! Oh no! When will you learn, Robix? When will you learn? I'm not late up here for the stream time. What? What? Super early bird. That's crazy, Baba Chip. Congratulations. I arrived bright and early. Have the worm to prove it. You do. It's okay for me to slack off my class, right? You know, since I'm a cook. But special, have you ever considered you could be both a cook and a musician? You could be like a musical cook. You could be cooking fire music. Do you understand? You know. Hi, Obsidian! Welcome to the class. Welcome. Have you ever considered being a musician? I'm gonna put it at 100%. Oh my god! I'm so sorry, Jinxia! I'm so sorry! Someone needs to call 000 for Jinxia. I don't know how much longer they're gonna make it. How are you? Welcome to the class. How many breadcrumbs to bribe for extra points? What? There'll be no bribes. There'll be no bribes. This is a very legit and very authentic class. You know, she remember this. I was just crying. Oh no, I appreciate you, Baba Trip. I'm bummed and ready for an education. Yes, ready for an education. Get educated. Let's get educated together. Didn't tell the teacher, but you're the coolest substitute teacher classroom. What? I'm very honored. Don't tell any of the other students, but I'll give you cookies after class. The amazing, wonderful, the illustrious, and what? No! How dare you steal my gift? We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. You'll never make me what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other night. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. I'm gonna actually turn this down a little bit because I need to. Class is starting very soon. We can't keep class waiting. Also comment and say the questions. Thank you so much, Ho. You're so sweet. What movie were you watching at Ho? That's so fun. I hope you enjoyed your movie. Barrel Gun. Of course you do, Janxia. Me, I sang like 3 covers. What? That's so cool. Of course that counts. Of course this counts, Baba Chip. I look forward to more covers from you. I can definitely say I qualify. Ooh. Let's go down the line. Maybe you'll be able to help us with some pointers this class. Cannot imagine becoming a musician, but we'll enjoy watching you trade for light forward music stuff. Thank you. I'll make it for sure. I'll defeat the Pokemon champion of music. This was just about to play the piano while some fire. Literally. Like to think if there's an anime, you'd be a class president, I'd be the delinquent. Who does often end up being tardy trying to keep the world a safe place. Oh, that's pretty cool actually. That's pretty badass. You're like a little vigilante. Yeah, before we get educated. What? That was you, Tao! No way! Thank you for the rickroll. Go cuckoo in the background. What? Warm-up song! Real warm-up song! Kiddos! Welcome to the class. Welcome in. We have a new transfer student. Everyone say hello to the new transfer student. Everyone stare at them menacingly as they find their way to their desk. Welcome and thank you so much for following. Julius Day. Are you an aspiring musician as well? It's muted away. Oh, wait, is it? Oh, I went to go see the monkey. Oh, what's that about? That's interesting. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, fellow student Bugton. I'm actually not the professor today. Can you guess who the professor is today? Who do you think it could possibly be? Did you read your timetable? Did you read your schedule properly? Do you know who our teacher is for today? Hello, teacher. How are you, Bugtazam? Hello, Kate Lips. Hello. How are you? Oh my, I'm sorry, I'm late for class. You're very late. Oh, you're lucky the teacher isn't here quite yet, but we'll be introducing them very soon. Actually, the teacher for today is none other than the very amazing and very, very skilled, professional, and experienced musician who created this BGM you're listening to right now. That was a very inconvenient time for my BGM to stop. Okay, there you go. I want you to listen for a moment and calm your senses before we begin. Isn't it beautiful? In fact, I feel like... Oh my god, that's so loud! That's so loud! I need to turn it down! Oh, the heck? Thank you for the laugh. I know you're excited, Tal. You're just as excited as I am. How are you, Father? Premium Father, welcome in! Welcome to the class. Monkey is very, very, very loose based on Stephanie. Really? Wait, it's a horror? What the heck? It's a horror movie about monkeys? Oh boy. That was supposed to be... Oh! No. That's very brilliant. That's very excellent. Well done. Well done, classmate Tao. Okay, and now for a round of applause as we welcome our teacher. It is none other than... Wrong one. Then... Sidonia! And I start throwing flowers into the air as I welcome the professor for the day. A standing ovation, please, from your professor, Dr. Sidonia! Yeah, you got it, Lohop, let's go! What a great student! Yeah! Okay. Let me inform the teacher that we are now here. Yay! Is that too loud, by the way? Is that like very loud? Is it okay? Do I have to turn down the sound alerts? Sidonia's coming here. Yeah! You excited? Sidonia, yes, Tenderloin, yes. I'm so sorry that it's okay. Oh no, unfortunately, because I don't want to interrupt too much the lesson. I'm kind of horror and gory comedy. Oh, very interesting, Professor. Yeah! Look at this view! Sidonia Sensei! Please, impart your wisdom upon us!
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Have you been good?
Yes, our bones are ready, Professor. Thank you so much for waiting and for coming here to teach all of us. Well, the students are all very, very excited to hear your revelations.
I will do my best.
Yay! Do you want to briefly introduce your musical history, or shall I?
So I'm a self-taught composer. I've been composing for about 3 years. Actually, slightly more than 3 years. I started around the middle of March.
Only 3 years?
Yeah, and it started because I've been playing the violin for 5 years, and I didn't know any music theory. And when I went on a trip to the United States, I had a lot of time to spare because the person I was living with had work, and so I had a lot of time for myself. And I thought, I'm going to learn some music theory. That way, when I come back to France, I'm going to surprise my teacher with the music theory I've learned, and she's going to be proud of me. And in order to apply what I had started learning, I wrote a piece of music, which was the sibling waltz. And I loved it. And that sparked an interest in composition. And then I continued self-teaching with books, mostly. And then here I am.
That's so sweet. That's so cool. I'm genuinely surprised that you're self-taught with like just like the depth of musical knowledge that you have. It's not just like, I don't know. It's not just like a couple of like fun, catchy tunes that you make, right? Like Sidonia stuff is like so musically complex with like so many layers and like a lot of like very detailed professional concepts that I've never heard of ever before. That's like
Thank
that's
you.
very
I mean,
impressive. That's very amazing.
it's because I have an affinity for analyzing and understanding things, probably because I have a background in science, right? So I studied engineering, material science, nanotechnology, astrophysics, and that's just the way I work. And I apply that to music, and it just helped me write more complex music, I guess. And it's fun. It's really fun to understand things. So
That is so cool.
I am very French, yes.
Yeah, that is so cool. I almost forgot to mention that you're also multi-skilled in maths and engineering. Like, what the heck? What? I know, right? How? What? You know, I can see that though. Like, I can see that in the way that you approach music, which is like just like so thorough, rather than being like, oh, you know, this feels kind of right. Which is like how I approach it. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just mess
It's a
around
different
until
approach.
it feels kind of right. No, but
That's
your
a
approach
valid
is...
approach.
Yours feels like very distinct though. Like, and very like well learned. Like, have you... Honestly, have you considered writing, like, doing like I don't know, like a master's in music or something? Or, like, writing papers about it?
I've been floating the idea, but there's a few issues that would make it difficult for me to enter university. So I'm not against it. It would certainly be really helpful for me to get professionally into composition, but I don't think it's attainable right now. But it's something that I'm definitely keeping in mind.
Ah, I see. I can definitely see you publishing like a professionally written essay. Like, I don't know, like the document that you gave me for the
Yeah,
BGM that you made. That was an essay. No, that's not even an essay. That was a thesis. You wrote a thesis.
Pretty much, just to explain sketch behind Song of We.
Yeah.
How do you actually properly pronounce Wuya?
Booyah. Wait, what are the characters that you used in it?
Oh, I have absolutely no idea.
Oh, okay. So it depends on what the actual characters are. So it depends on like the which tone, which accent it is, because you could probably pronounce it in a lot of different ways.
Because I chose Wuya because it's the word for crow, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
Wuya.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like
because it's
that particular
it's Song of Crow.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. I feel like you told me at some point, but I forgot. But that's so cool. I love it so much. But like that's like a funny word. So like it's written like WU, but it's more like an ooh kind of sound, like ooh yeah.
Wuya.
Yeah, and the ya is like duck kind of ya.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think my Chinese pronunciation is good enough to pronounce.
Your Chinese is probably a lot better than my French.
Okay, granted.
Okay. Should I also introduce myself briefly on behalf of the class? Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me in your class, Professor Sidonia. My name is Nivi. I am primarily an artist, animator, and arsonist. But today I've come here to rewrite the wrongdoings of my past and turn a new leaf as a professional and elegant musician.
You can do it. I will take you
Yeah.
there.
Thank you. I believe my tuition fees were wisely spent. Okay, I'm just going to quickly grab. So Sidonia, Master Sidonia, we have prepared a
All right.
couple of questions for today. Shall I introduce the overall lesson plan?
No, just go for it. Ask questions, and then things. I'll just gonna roll from there.
Okay. We can tackle it in whatever order you have prepared them in then.
All right.
Wait, oh sorry. Also very quick note before you start. I'm gonna open like a quick little like redeem that's just gonna be like take notes. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like quietly taking notes throughout. Um uh based on my own observations and also based on anyone else's observations so that we can very wisely absorb Sidonia's information in a summary.
If you have any questions, or if your chat has any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Yippee! Thank you. I will get that set up very quickly. In the meantime, what is the first lesson that you have for us, Sidonia?
Well, I've got to start somewhere, right? So I need to gauge how much you already know about music in general, especially the absolute basics of music theory. So things like the notes, the tones, intervals, chords, how to read music notation. Do you know any of that?
Yes. I do know how to read sheet music, but I'm like really slow at it. Cause like I've always relied more on memorizing the like specific piece that I'm learning, which was easier for me, you know, like in the moments. But now I kind of regret it because I never properly learned how to read sheet music in like a way where I can actually read it, not like slowly.
I mean,
note it down.
it takes a lifetime. I'm still like I've been playing the violin for I think 5 years, and I learned to read sheet music when I was like 12.
Oh wow!
So even now, I'm still not super fast. It's something that you have to constantly practice if you want to really be able to read to sight read music. So just being able to read at all is enough to get started, even if it's slow. As long as you can read, then it was.
All right. Then I would say I know like a basic level of sheet music, just like the standard fundamental, I guess. Like I know the treble and the bass clefs. I know like the difference where the notes are on the bar depending. Know like the repeats and the spaces. The key, sharp, flat notations. I did also briefly start learning about I forget the name, but there was a third clef that was like somewhere in between the treble and the bass.
Yes, that is the alto clef.
Yeah. I had that come up a couple times when I was like learning cello, and it always messed me up because it was like suddenly in a completely new like clef where I had to move everything up by 4 notes or something.
Yeah, there's a trick to reading the alto clef. Can you see my screen?
Okay, let me bring up your projection. Boom! Huzzah! Okay, go on.
So if you can read, assuming that you can read the treble clef, let's have a look at this. So this is an F, right? And
Oh,
look at where
maybe.
the F is on the alto clef. This is an F an octave below. So this is this F here. This one is the F here. But in terms of line and interlines, there's just one difference between the two. So to read the alto clef, which is keep in mind the alto clef is an octave below, but to read it, you just bump up the notes by one line or interline, and these are the equivalent notes in a treble clef. So if you look at this one, for example, in the alto clef, you look at this one, you think, what's the one above on the treble clef? The one above is a G, so this one is also a G, but an octave below.
So you just play the G as if it was a G on the
It's an easy trick to easily
Oh,
read the alto clef, but it's going to be a bit tiring if you're trying to sight read it because you have to do
right.
these conversions all the time.
Yeah.
But it helps when you're writing.
I see. Understandable. Is that just like was this like the clef that was used when notes go like too high to be like reasonably written, or was it like too low to
No,
be reasonable?
the alto clef. If you look at the defining note of the alto clef is this middle one, this middle line here, and this is the middle C that's in here.
Yeah.
So this is typically used for alto instruments. So things like the viola famously uses the alto clef. These are for the instruments that are in between the sopranos, so the higher instruments, and the lower instruments. So they don't need to go quite as low as the bass clef goes. So the viola goes one octave below that, right? But if you try to read this on a treble clef, it's a bit cumbersome, and nobody likes ledger lines. So if you read that on, so this note here is this one on the alto clef, and that is a lot easier to read. So that is what the alto clef is for.
I think I get it. I think I vaguely get it. Yeah. I see. Wait. But if on the treble clef, the the note that's like hard to that was like too low to notate, or like uncomfortably low to notate, if it was like all the way like down there, then wouldn't it be even lower on the alto, because the conversion from alto to treble is like moving it from alto to treble is moving it up one bar, one line.
Yeah, but there is an octave of difference. So the equivalence between these two, this is going to be this one. Right, so these two are the same, but these are on the same octave. So if you want to compare them with the octave difference on the treble clef, it would be this one. And this is where you have this one line of difference, right? This is the middle line, and this is the interline above.
Wait. Right, with the octave skip. Okay, wait. I skipped past that when you were explaining it the first time, but that makes a little more sense. Thank you.
So if you want to look at the lowest note, typically the lowest note on the viola, it's like this. And with the octave difference, you still have this difference of one step, right? This is a lot more pleasant to read on the alto clef. You'll only really encounter the alto clef when you're writing for viola. The other instruments you're going to be using either the bass clef, so this one, or the treble clef.
So are you telling me they put alto clef in my cello sheet music just to mess with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, normally the cello, you read the cello in the bass clef, but it can go pretty high. And I've written some pieces that go pretty high on the cello. But normally, when you go on the higher register of the cello, you write in the treble clef. You don't really use the alto clef. That's an old thing to do. Not very convenient.
Okay, I guess that makes sense if I was learning more like older pieces for assessments, I assume. Oh, take notes! Take
Yeah,
notes!
you're gonna
You're right.
be. You're gonna be. If you're learning an instrument that has that kind of range, you might be tested on this kind of cliff. But it's in practice, you're really only gonna encounter, unless you play the VLR, you're only gonna encounter one of these two.
I see. Understood. Okay, let me set up this redeem real quick. Okay. Let me note this down. This is very important. Outer clef. Mostly for violas. Lower cliff. Then used for readability, would you say? Used for readability.
You could switch between the clef for readabilities. Do I have an example? I could probably find an example. The switching between the clefs happens fairly regularly for French horns specifically.
Oh.
Although the French horns do prefer the treble clef, even with a lot of ledger lines.
Right. Is that because French horns have like a bigger range than different horns? Or
the thing about French horns is that they are transposing instruments, and so the pitch that they read is not the one they sound like. And so there's conventions for writing for them. It gets kind of complicated. So I don't want to go into it yet.
Okay.
But it depends. The usage is going to depend on the instruments. On bassoon, it can happen that you have a treble clef. On cello, it can happen that you have a treble clef. But usually, you don't really change the clef for specific instruments.
I see. Understood. Thank you very much.
I know I have a cello solo in this one. I don't know if I notated it with a treble clef.
Does anyone else have particular questions about the alto clef or like different kinds of clefs? Is it just 3? Is it just those?
No, there's more clefs which are kind of special. There's the percussion clef, which I can't show you here, but I can add an instrument.
My god, this is my first time hearing about this.
You might find this one, which is used for unpitched percussions.
Right. Are there pitched percussions?
There's... Yes.
What?
The timpani is a pitch percussion. There's the timpani, then there's all the non-piano keyboard instruments, so glockenspiel, xylophone, vibraphone. There's the tubular bells, which are... I really like the sound of the tubular bells. And these are... So the pitched percussions. The timpani is a bit unique because what you actually have in a timpani is you have a set number of drums. Usually it's 4, like it's 2 to 4, but they are on set pitches. And what the player does is during the performance, they retune the timpani using a lever to tighten or loosen a little bit the membrane. And they do that while the rest of the orchestra plays, and then they can hit at the right pitch. So when you play when you write for a timpani part, you have to be mindful of the time it takes to reach in the timpani for the player.
Oh, wait, that's actually so cool. They're like retuning their instrument on the fly.
Yep. And then the last type of clef that you'll find that I know about is the tablature, which is for guitars. And
guitars have their own clef?
Yeah.
I've
There are
never
tabs.
noticed
Can
this
I
before
add?
somehow. Whew. I would have been in for a nasty surprise if I ever took, like, my first guitar lesson. Oh!
And the thing about tablatures is that instead of showing notes the way that the rest of the clefs work, they give you a number which corresponds to which fret you're supposed to stop.
Oh! Can you do, like, a very, very quick notation on the guitar clef to show, like, how notes on there correspond to different chords?
Yeah,
and
I
such?
will have to show you to find you an example because
Okay,
if I
yeah.
want to make, I would need to have a guitar, I would need to create a guitar
Oh, right.
score and then transfer that into tab, and it takes a while. I don't know how to do it by heart because I never have to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I have some somewhere. So if you give me a moment, I can find them.
We have some other music gurus here in the class as well already. Very impressive. Polygriffin says Western sheet music goes deep. Does that mean that there's other... do other kinds of sheet musics function very differently?
Typically for the guzheng has a very unique kind of notation that I don't know well, but other instruments have other ways to be notated because music was developed all around the world at the same time. So Western music notation is the one that's used mostly everywhere because Western civilization kind of took over. But the other methods and the other scales and the other notes still exist, and they still use these notations.
Would you say, like, how many major groups of, like, how many major categories of sheet music are there at this moment in the modern world?
So this is a tablature. I have no idea what this is, by the way. I just googled for one. And yeah, so it just shows which string you're playing and which fret you stop. And 0 being, of course, an open string. I would pick up my guitar, but I broke the E string, so I can't really play it. As for how many styles of music, as far as I know, there's Western music, of course. Then there's Asian music with Chinese, Japanese music, and I'm thinking of mostly the guzheng. I don't know if any other writing systems exist for specifically Japanese music. So there might be more. And then there's Arabic, Middle Eastern music. I don't know anything about the notation in Middle Eastern music, but I know they use a different set of notes than we do.
Yeah, I'm very curious about Middle Eastern music because I very briefly researched like ancient Greek music for some random reason, and I started learning about... Oh wait, no, it's from this other thing. I watched a video about it, how there's like different modes, and they have a completely unique set of different musical modes.
Yeah, so the modes of the major and minor scales are different. And there's also like octatonic scales, the whole tone scales. So these are completely different. But Middle Eastern music and traditional Asian music, they use different notes completely. So instead of having our system of notes with the 12 tones and everything, they just have completely different notes. And that's why you can't really transcribe one into the other.
That is so cool.
But the prevalent system of music is Western music because Western culture is the one that's spread historically the most because of colonization and all that. But the other styles or the other origins of music are very interesting. So if you get a chance to, I would recommend that you listen to some original Middle Eastern music. They have a really, really beautiful scale. And Chinese opera. Chinese opera is extremely unique, but it's really worth a listen.
Let me note this down. 5? Wait. say there's like about 5 different clefs?
Yep. The ones you will be concerned with as a composer are going to be treble and bass mostly. Then a tiny little bit of alto clef, and finally the percussion clef. The tablatures you might not encounter, and guitar players, I think, at least they should be able to read both tablatures and regular notation, but if they can't, it's really easy to switch from one to the other. But the thing about tablatures is that I mean, you play the ukulele, so you know, but there's different ways to play the same note on a guitar, and the tablatures can help with the fingerings.
Right. Now that you've shown me, I do actually recognize the tablatures from like chord sites whenever they need to note down like the fingerings for like a plucking sequence.
Yep, that is what they do.
I still have to like read them very slowly to get the actual sequence out.
But
I imagine
basically can't read them at all, so
oh, I imagine that they'd be like super straightforward and helpful for anyone who's like very familiar with reading them. Middle Eastern, say Chinese opera, and was like, did you say like Japanese music had like different sheet music as well, or was that included in the Asian type
traditional Chinese and Japanese music are interesting, but I don't know if there's a difference between them, and that kind of sounds wrong now that I say it out loud.
No,
but
understandable.
I don't know enough about them to give you more information.
Understandable. You already know like a lot about like just Western music and more about stuff outside of Western music than I would know anyway.
Because I'm curious, and I had to do a lot of research on the Guzheng for Song of Wuya.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so impressed still that you did like so much in-depth research for that. Like holy crud.
So let me give you an example of what the Guzheng notation looks like. I cannot read this. I have no idea what this means, but this is the
that's so
notation you
cool.
get from the Guzheng. So it's different from what we have, what we use in the Western scale, in the Western music. But this is what the Guzheng looks like.
Oh, I see. I have no idea what this means, but it looks very interesting.
I don't know either. I tried to learn, but I really did not manage. I needed a lot more time.
That's fair. Jewel bells. Okay. I'm just looking through and seeing that there were some questions from the rest of the class as well, if you don't mind.
Yep, go for it.
Okay. How does the second? I love tubular bells. Wait, really quickly. What are tubular bells like? Actually, don't know what they are. Tubular bells.
Oh, you don't. Oh, I love tubular bells. Hold on. Let me find you a picture.
Oh, I searched up a picture. Wait, this is so fun. Do you just like smack them?
Yeah. You have tiny mallets, and then you tap them, and it makes a really cool sound.
I love that. It reminds me of like you know, like the really long plastic stuff that people literally you like smack the really long tube of plastic and it makes a sound.
This would be xylophones, I guess.
Really?
Oh, the xylophones are in metal. Do you mean these?
Oh no. You know, do you ever have like a tube? It's like a tube, and they also come in different colors though, like a xylophone. And you like physically pick up each individual tube, and you can like smack it on something, and then the wind of the tube makes a sound.
No, I've never heard of that.
Really? But surely someone's seen it before, right? Paddle tubes? Is it a paddle tube? Ooh. So cool.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, maybe it was just like a very silly little like I'm pretty sure we just had them in like primary school music classes. Maybe they
I
were
learned
just
music
music class
on.
toys.
I never learned music on. I mean, I have a couple toys that are like I have a plastic clarinet. I have a real
Oh,
clarinet as well and a plastic
yeah.
flute. I can pick them up if you want.
Hmm. We. Oh, I also
Maybe
remember
later.
a similar instrument that was like also a tube, but you like swing it around in a circle, and it makes like a whirling
Oh,
noise.
that's what's the word? I know what you mean,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
don't know the name.
Oh, they were so much
It's a kind
fun.
of percussion.
Really, that's percussion.
Yeah, it's you just swirl it, right? You make it spin and
Yeah.
it does this
You go.
kind of sound. I don't know what it's called.
Oh, okay. It was
Or
really fun though.
or
Were they just called like whirlies or something? I don't know. Timpanis can do note bends. What? What is a note bend? So cool.
oh, it's kind of like on the guitar where you play the notes and then you bend. Well, in the timpani, it's going to be the membrane. On the guitar, it would be the string. And
Okay, so it's like a slide?
that's no, because
No?
the bend modifies the pitch, but the slide you go from one pitch to the other. But the bend modifies the pitch, and then you go back to your original pitch
Like a twang?
when you stop bending. The goosing does incredible bends.
Okay.
Can I get? Oh no, you guys are seeing my YouTube.
Oh no, I can take it down for now until you're ready.
I don't mind.
In some instruments like a violin,
Okay.
This is a bend.
in the reverse, coming and release bending is called 下滑音. It's from a higher
Oh.
Fourth sound tune.
Okay, that does sound very distinct. Okay, I see. I was thinking of the way you kind of bend notes for vibrato on a string instrument.
No, you don't bend the note on vibrato.
Oh.
What actually happens on the vibrato is I should have picked up my violin to demonstrate, but on the violin, the thing about the violin is there's no, well, the vibrato on the guitar you do bend, but on the violin, there's no frets on the violins, right? So the contact point of your finger with the string is where you decide the pitch of the note, which is why violins are notoriously difficult to play in tune, because every micrometer counts, right? And what you do is by swinging your finger back and forth, you slightly modify that contact point, and that slightly modifies the pitch that you're playing, and that leads to the vibrato effect.
I'm learning so many new things today. Welcome in, new students. How are you?
Well, let me go pick up my violin. I'll be right back real quick. I'm gonna go pick up my violin. I'm going to demonstrate. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Take those, everyone. We're learning so much new stuff. This is crazy. Welcome in, Abyssal Hayashi. How are you? I'm gonna mute for a second so I don't bother. Sidonia with this. But welcome to the stream, readers. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. How's your stream? Taka! Did you know Taka is an amazing musician as well? Shout out to the amazing Amewa Takahashi. Oh wait, I think I'm accidentally like... Shout out to the amazing Amewa Takahashi who plays ukulele, a little like rhythm games. If you enjoyed it, how has your... Wait, you've been a talk show? Wait, how's your talk show? What were you talking about? Welcome in! A sub! We're currently in the middle of a music lesson from the amazing Sidonia, who, if you've heard my PGM, she's the one who made this PGM What? She's the one who made this incredibly beautiful BGM. It's so amazing. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to shout them out. I will try to take notes and ask them to Sidonia whenever I get a chance. In the middle of her teachings. But welcome into all the new students. I hope you had a great time with Taka. Hope you can go ahead and have a rest if you have things to run off to after the raid. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed your stay here. Thank you very much for joining me. Oh, yeah. Let me quickly catch up on a couple of stuff. Welcome in, Storm. How are you, Storm? It's a wackaphone. Wait, really? Is that what it's called? Amazing, Loner. Thank you. Trista's very name. How do you...
Alright, I am back. I have my violin.
For teaching kids the notes. Oh, I see, Caleb Lupus. Thank you.
I need to show
sound of
you.
tube. I see. Wow.
Let me switch to my camera on Discord real quick.
Thank you for the like, Loner. Thank you for
Is that gonna work?
Appreciate it so much.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on.
ukulele send. That's so valid. That's so real.
There
Me
you go.
every time I try to do art session. Okay. Class is back at attention. Hi.
Alright, Discord
oops.
is not picking up my camera. Can you swing? Can you show my stream for a minute so I can show you the...
Huh?
So I can do it. I have my violin.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to box. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Alright, so on the violin, so you stop with the finger, right?
Mm.
And the where you stop on the string determines the pitch, right? So
Live demonstration. Here we go. Okay.
so it's basically this. But in a much smaller version. So you have your finger, and then you move your finger back and forwards. That changes the contact point on the string, and that's what creates this effect. But you do it slower, smaller and slower. I can't really demonstrate because my desk is in the way.
Yeah.
And that's how
the
you get
beautiful
expressed on the
violin.
violin.
Oh my god, now you're tempting Taka into learning a violin.
If you're going to learn the violin from personal experience, don't self-teach, because I self-taught. It was hell. But yeah, so this is the principle of the vibrato on the violin.
You should get Sidonia to teach you instead. Are your lessons open, Sidonia?
I mean, I'm open to helping, but I don't know if I'm good enough on the violin to help.
Understandable. I definitely feel like violin is one of the harder string instruments to learn. Partly because it's so ear piercing unless you get it right.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like the first 4 or 5 years of playing the violin, you're going to be playing horribly out of tune, and it's not going to be very pleasant for people who are listening.
Yeah, that takes a lot of perseverance to get past that. Then.
Yes, it is. It can be very disheartening.
This gives me.
It takes about 10 years to learn to play in tune on a violin.
10 years? Really?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep. It is really, really difficult. That
gives me immense respect for my violinist friends. Now, I also feel grateful to have learned the cello, because I don't know if I'd be able to stick it out for that long. I feel like I might have been disowned by the end of 10 years. I know a 10 years, that's a whole decade. What the heck? What? Shadows is judging my housemates and choking noises. For real. Tenderline says, don't self-teach for most instruments. That definitely sounds like the case. You say except for
I mean, that's mostly true, but I self-taught the piano and I'm doing just fine. It's really a matter of self-teaching correctly. And on the
Right.
violin, it's really difficult because there's so much that you can do wrong that you're not even aware of. But you need a teacher to be there to see what you're doing wrong and correct you.
Right.
Whereas on other instruments, you can get things wrong, but you can still play at a reasonable level.
Right. I
I'm
see.
nowhere near a virtuoso on the piano, but I can play some pieces, and my technique is probably wrong in a lot of ways that I'm not aware of, but I can play, and it gives me joy to play the pieces that I can play. But on a violin, if you're doing something wrong, it's going to be immediately obvious. So don't self-teach the violin. If you can get, even if it's not regular lessons, at least someone to help correct your mistakes that you don't know about, you're going to get better a lot faster than if you self-teach completely.
I see. I see. Would you say like piano? Are there any instruments aside from piano that you would say is okay to self-teach? Like I feel like ukulele is pretty like a good beginner instrument. At least from my
I think
experience. I don't know. Maybe I'm
the
actually like
piano
super
and the
wrong. I don't know.
guitar are the most forgiving instruments.
Ah.
But again, I'm not a virtuoso. I can't really play the guitar either, so I'm not well placed to talk about these two instruments. I can tell you it's not a good idea on the violin. that's, that's the most I can tell you. But it's definitely possible on the piano from experience.
Yeah. I find it's especially okay, there's an ad break going on right now. I don't know if we should pause for them or not. Do you prefer having like a break in between the lessons? Or do you
I
want to
don't
just keep
really
going?
mind. I think we should just keep going.
Yeah, okay. That's all good. Right. Full speed ahead. At least for me, when learning piano, I find it like really helpful to just like follow the insane amount of like piano synthesis tutorials online, and that might not be like a very effective way of like properly learning the instrument and how to like read sheet music. But it is at least like a good. I feel like it's like a good motivator
It's
and a
good if
good
you want to
guide.
learn specific pieces, but if you want to become
Yeah.
really good at the piano, there's a lot more
Yeah.
that you need to do. But if you're like me, you just want to play specific pieces, that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's basically what I do, except I read sheet music instead of like seeing the notes come down onto the piano roll.
I see. There was one other major question that someone asked earlier on, I believe. Let me quickly see. I hope it hasn't disappeared. Okay. Speaking of measurement, mostly used for guitar, you do an email. Volfix asked another question. How are these scores made and put into the thingy to be composed? Just taking the electric guitar score as an example.
You mean translating from notation to tablature?
I'm not sure. How are the scores made and put into the thingy to be composed? Do they maybe mean like turning it into like MIDI? Wait, I don't know. We might have to wait for Volfex to clarify if they're still around.
Volfex, if you're still here, can you clarify the question? Because we're a bit confused.
It sounds interesting though. Sounds very interesting. Thank you for raising your hand for a question. Tab's great to know we're on the guitar to play, but it's not that good at showing the timing of the music. Oh, are there any
there
tools?
There are ways on the tablature, where you can show the duration of each note. But most tablatures that I've found have only the notes, because I think they assume that you know what the music sounds like, and you're just looking for the correct notes. And so the rhythm you have in your head, and you can replicate based on the notes.
Right, I see. Understandable. Tao says, you're a font of knowledge. This is great. You literally are. I was gonna say that I thought we would start with some really basic concepts, right? I thought we would start with like a lot of, just like chill, established things. But like from the get-go, you're like dropping nuclear bombs on my mind. Like first first like discovering there's like more than 3 clefs, and then there's all these different types of ways of writing sheet music all together. Crazy.
If I go too far, or if I say something that's confusing, don't be afraid to interrupt me or ask for clarification, because I tend to yap when it comes to music, because I like music. So if I go too far, if I start going on a tangent that's completely unrelated to the original question, don't be afraid to stop me.
So I'm all strapped in for the ride. It's been, your yapping has been excellent so far. Thank you very much.
Volvex clarified, I have zero idea either, but don't you have the note thingies for instruments that you just piece together to compose a full piece? So the way it works is, I'm going to show you. I'm going to grab one of my pieces. Let's go with Dance Spectrum. So each instrument is going to have their own lines, right? So all right, so this is pretty big, right? It's scary. But each instrument has their own line. So the oboe has their own line. So this. And each player is going to have only their parts. So the score for the oboe players, for example, is going to look like this. And they have only their part to play, but the conductor is going to have all the parts, like I showed earlier, and the conductor's job is to let the different instrument groups know when to come in, and then based on that, they can play. There's a lot that goes into playing with a full orchestra, but essentially every instrument has their own line like this, and that's how they know what to play.
Is this one of the musics that you composed, by the way?
Yeah, this is Dance Spectrum. It's
oh
a
my
really
god, it
complicated
looks
piece of
so
music.
scary. It looks so scary when you put it together in sheet music like
It was
this.
a lot of fun to compose.
Oh my god. Wait, I do have a question actually as well. What do you do when you're writing sheet music and you've got so many different like lines of like different instruments and like different parts that like the total amount goes beyond the length of the page?
I have that problem in my last work in progress,
Oh my
actually.
god.
And the way it works on an actual sheet, I don't know how to do it on MuseScore, but they just shrink things until it fits
Oh
for
my god.
the conductor. Or we just use bigger sheets of paper.
Oh
But
wow.
in MuseScore specifically, it has this option to view either in page view, which is what I have here, or continuous view. And this can extend infinitely vertically, and then you can see every single instrument.
Wow, that's terrifying but beautiful. It looks like an Excel sheet. Oh my god. Wow. What's like the most amount of different parts that you know of in like a piece of music?
I'm not sure. A full symphony orchestra will have full wind quartet with 2 to 3 parts, and then so that's gonna be 12. They can probably have between 50 to 60 parts.
60? 60?
And it can go beyond if you add like soloists and extra parts, especially if you have like alternate instruments.
Is this why the conductors look like so concentrated? Is because they're trying to read the tiny sheet music that's like squeezed 60 different parts on one page?
No, actually no. It's because every movement that they make is significant for the players, and so they need to be very controlled about what they do so that they don't send wrong signals and accidentally cue someone in that they didn't mean to cue in.
Oh, yeah. That's understandable. That's like a massive amount of people to be coordinating. Welcome back from Meds, everyone, by the way. Thank you, though. Thank you for showing us that in full view. That's so beautiful, even though it's so terrifying.
If there's fewer instruments, it's a lot less scary.
Actually, I think this is a good cue to maybe ask one of the questions that someone asked on the Discord before we started. So that was the one I sent you earlier. Oh wait, yeah. Lona Bro earlier said, how do you set a mood for music? Do you already have a set of chords in mind?
Oh, I love this question. I love this question because it's... I was going to say wrong, but it's not wrong, it's mistaken. Because it takes a lot more than chords to set a mood. And I'm gonna... This is actually the perfect piece to explain this because it uses this concept. So, it is true that a lot of the mood is carried by the chords, and especially with the way modern music hyper focuses on chords, which is wrong. So people have this idea that chords do everything in music, and they tend to think about chords first and melody second, which I think is the wrong way to approach music. And that leads to this misconception. But to establish a mood, chords are not the only thing that matters. There's the melody that matters, the rhythm, the dissonances, the tension, the resolution, the instrumentation, the acoustic space. There's the timbres of the instrument. There's so many things that go into establishing a certain kind of mood or tone for the music. And I'm going to demonstrate that with this piece. So I'm going to go to a piano reduction, which is essentially the sheet music, but reduced to be played by a single piano. And that's the way I write. I start with this piano sketch, and then I do the orchestration. So have a look at the piano sketch. And this one should have the chords on it, I believe. And have a look at this. So I'm going to play a short excerpt, right? So just from this piano excerpt, you can tell that this is something that sounds kind of creepy and unsettling, right?
Yeah.
But look at the chords. There's a specific chord progression here, but I use the exact same chord progression later. Here. Not quite the exact same actually, but it works the same way, but it sounds very different.
It does. It's a lot more fun.
And there's, just from the piano sketch, there's two things that influence this. The first one is the accompaniment in between the two parts. There's the chords, but the two chord percussions are very similar. So what matters here is not the chord percussions, but the rest of the things. So the accompaniment is very different. In here, there's the typical waltz pattern, right? The pum pam pam that you hear everywhere. And that already gives it a lot more rhythm and comfort than this one. And this one has these very uncomfortable spaced arpeggios. So just the chord tones that go up and then go back down, they go up, they go back down. And it's slower. So already you have the rhythm of the accompaniment, the tempo, and there's the melody as well, where this melody here is chromatic, which means there's some notes that are not part of the scale. But this one has no chromatic notes, right? All the notes that you have in here are parts of the scale or of the local chord, and that means that this melody is automatically going to feel more comfortable than the other one because it feels like it fits, whereas the other one doesn't, right? And also, this melody is slightly higher. Now, higher pitch in music is usually means more intensity, so that depends on what kind of emotion you're trying to transcribe. And in this case, it's the instrumentation that's going to define that. So if you look at the piano, the full orchestration here, and I'm going to play the two parts of this one.
Whoa, this one is so magical. I like it.
So there's a lot that goes into the instrumentation here. There's the pizzicato low strings that really emphasize this low end and the feeling of stress. And then you have the celesta, which is very, very high above. If you look at the on the piano roll, you have this is
Oh
the
my god. It's like 2 octaves.
the accompaniment
Like
sits
3?
in here, right? So
4?
yeah. So the accompaniment is like way down here. This is where the accompaniment is. Then you have the melody that sits in this kind of area, and then in between you have spaced out string chords, and all that gives the melody a sense of emptiness, which is on purpose. This is all on purpose. And the big difference between the melody and the contrabass also increases the tension, right? But on the other end, at the waltz part, which should start here. The melody and the bass are already a lot closer together. The melody is in a much warmer instrument, which is the violin, compared to the really cold, kind of creepy celesta. And you have this steady rhythm in the bass that is a lot more dancing than you had before, right? So everything in here contributes to the different moods, but at its core, the chord progression is essentially the same and functions the same way. The chords are not the exact same, but they function the same way. But one side is creepy and uninviting, the other side is more welcoming and gentle. So there's so much that goes into how to set a mood that it's a misconception that the chords do everything. The chords carry a lot, that is true, but you can do a lot of fine tuning with all these other things. And that's the part of orchestration that's really, really interesting to me.
So then, you could teach a whole masterclass on this. Honestly, you could teach a whole TED talk on this. This is very enlightening for me as well. I'm actually super glad that Luna brought up this question, because it's something that I didn't realize at all either. That I think I probably also had that misconception that chords are like the base of like a song or like a particular tune. Tenderloin also agrees with you. They say that notes and chords are the least important part of a song, especially for a professional musician, which is part of why I think most instruments are best done without being self-taught, because a teacher will teach you best the nuances of tone, dynamics, and technique. Whoa, that's so interesting.
I don't fully agree with that, because notes and chords are going to be the core of the piece. But for a composer, it is crucially important to be aware of what instruments can do, and especially the different tones. I'm going to demonstrate that, actually, because this is also a really good piece to explain this difference in tone. But essentially, that's something I didn't talk about in Dance Spectra, but each instrument has different tones depending on their register. That is not as true for violins and for the strings instruments in general, but if you listen to, I'm going to need to... I'm gonna need to remove Chris again. But there is a difference in timbre between the different strings of the instrument, right? So the lowest string of the violin
What?
this is what it sounds like. The next one. Can you hear the difference in tone? The second one is brighter. And this is something that it can be used on the violin when you give a specific instruction to play on a specific string for effects. But it's mostly used for woodwinds and brass because they have very clear timbres and registers that you can use to a certain effect. So, for example, I need to find it. So this is the Shimmering Waltz, which was a commission Bell wrote.
Oh my goodness, there's so many pages.
And all right, so listen to just this part on the oboe, right? And listen for the register and the timbres of the oboe. Did you hear the difference between the middle register and the lower register in the oboe?
Definitely.
And I used that on purpose to. So this is just a repeat of everything. Let's see. Can I find the exact repeat of that? Not quite. But the idea behind this is the exact same. So let me find. There you go. Now, compare that to the part with the oboe. And this is another thing that I didn't touch on, but the orchestration makes a massive difference, not just because of the timbre of the instruments, but also because of counter voices and stuff like that. So listen to that. Here. Did you hear the way it went from saying something that was really gentle and soft to something that was borderline creepy?
Yeah.
It starts really, really gentle here. And the way it works is that the orchestration in the first part is really minimal. So you have the waltz pattern with the cello and the contrabasses. And then you have the horns here marking the second part. And then you have this solo violin. Well, it's the first violin section that plays the melody. And because it's very high up on the violin, it's going to have this kind of softness to it and a lot of tension because it's so high up in the acoustic space. And against that, you have this very expressive, beautiful oboe solo.
Go oboe!
And this uses the mid-range of the oboe, which is very plaintive and mournful and kind of sad on its own. And then the whole thing transitions slowly to the lower register of the oboe, which is a bit darker and a bit more somber. And at the same time, you have this extra counter voice here in the second violins. And then you have also these clarinets that add a little bit more darkness and warmth to the
Ooh.
tone in general. And this gradually builds up with this middle to low register on the flute, and then you have the bassoons coming in, and the tubas expanding on the lower end of the register. And this builds up all this creepiness until it reaches the cadence tab. And this is the way this works. And that's one way you can manipulate with
Yeah.
instrumentation, instrument registers, the chords, of course, that play a role here, the melody, the acoustic space, because this expands the acoustic space, goes higher and higher. And you have so many ways that you can use all these tools in the orchestration and in the way you
Yeah.
write the music to manipulate the emotion that you're trying to transcribe. And then it goes right back to this simplicity, right?
Yeah, it starts to get a lot more like gritty towards the end. That's a very clever thing that I wouldn't have thought of as a thing that like the composer keeps in mind if you hadn't pointed it out.
It's very important because the chords and the melody, they have the role, but the way you can really enhance an emotion is with all these considerations. So this is how you can make arrangements of a song with entirely different moods. Yes, but you can also change the key, and that's going to have also a different effect on the moods. Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Okay, so factors of mood. In summary, chords are a part of it, but not all of it. Is that right?
Chords are important, but you can enhance the effects with all these other considerations that I mentioned.
So would you say like pitch, key, tone?
So there's instrument registers,
Movement.
instrument registers, instrumentation, melody, pitch, if you want to notate it that way. It's more of a matter of the acoustic space than just raw pitch.
Oh, okay, I see.
Accompaniment, counter voices. There's a lot. There's a lot that go into it. Can I demonstrate with this, maybe?
Oh, okay. Accompaniment.
So see how you can achieve completely different moods, except this is literally always the same melody. The melody never changes. It's just everything around it that changes. The melody, it's always this. But it's decorated differently, and that gives you an entire spectrum of moods and emotions that you can play with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as soon as the choir came in, I saw the visuals flash before my eyes. We're walking in Dark Souls 3. There's a massive looming church, and the final boss is rising up from behind the stained glass windows.
It makes me really happy that you say that, because that was pretty literally the request I got when I read this.
Really? Wait, oh my god!
Yeah, it was the request was final boss vibe with little bit of gothic elements because it was for Vampire Bonjour.
Oh my god! You painted it
Oh, yeah.
like note by note. That's amazing.
My favorite part of this one is a little bit later.
The final part of the battle. It's tough, but
And then
we
you
can
have this
still do
part
it.
that's like super solemn. And then it goes super intense. So yeah, the chord and melody are important, but you can do a lot with everything else.
I see. You know, I think it would be super insightful if you ever did like just like a comparison, like maybe like, I don't know, like a video or something. If you ever get around to it, like I personally be super interested to see like one singular melody, but with like, I don't know, like 5 different variations of like other elements slightly adjusted to give like a completely different mood.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that would
something
be
that I
like
could
very
do.
enlightening.
I could just use this piece as an example because basically that's the way it's built.
Because I've heard a lot about like, oh, this particular chord gives this kind of mood. The minor chord is sad. The major chord is happy. And
It's
this
a
particular note.
really it's a really gross oversimplification
Oh yeah.
because a major chord can be sad in the right context. A minor chord can be triumphant and happy in the right context. It's all about how you decorate the things, right? But if you compare just a minor chord alone to a major chord alone, the major chord is going to sound brighter, and that's the way people are generally taught. But when it comes to an actual piece of music, it depends entirely on the context and what surrounds the chords and the melody.
Ah, I see. That is very enlightening. Thank you so much. Another reason I'm really glad that like Luna put up that question was like listening to you talk about it maybe like reflect about the way that I've been trying to write music, which is that I've definitely felt like I often get stuck because I'm trying to think of like a specific melody to go with like a specific chord or something. Cause that's like the way like I thought music was generally made. Oh, you have the main melody and then you have the chorus, you know. And the other thing that I realized that I do is that I tend to write everything. I tend to write all the lines of melody as just like a standard grand piano as the instruments when I'm like writing it on when I'm putting it in online instead of thinking about like what kind of instrument should it be first. I tend to think of it like as just like individual notes. And then I think like
That's not a
okay.
bad thing.
Yeah? Does it
I mean,
would you use
the question was really, really good. I'm really happy that it was asked because it's such a good question, and I get to talk about this complexity you can get from instrumentation and orchestration, everything that goes into representing a mood, which is really the fun part of music to me. So, starting with a piano sketch is literally what I do. So, for example, I'm gonna take the example of Song of Wuya because that's gonna speak to you maybe a little bit better. So I started with a piano sketch plus the guzheng and the ukulele because I wanted those to be solo instruments, right? So I'm not going to go back through how I wrote like the entire melodies because that would take forever, and it would get a little bit too complicated. But for this part, for example, so I wrote a lot of things before this, but then I wrote this part. And the way I went about orchestrating it is I had my idea. I wanted this to be a flying kind of theme where the
Oh,
characters, the crow, is
yeah.
high in the cloud, and it should be really happy, should be bright, should be
Oh.
cheerful. So I thought, all right, how do I make this bright and cheerful? So I started with having a flute as my main instrument because I really like the sound of the flute's mid to lower registers, which are
Mm.
not very common to use because they're pretty weak, but I love these registers. So that was my bass instrument. So I put the melody in the flute. And then I thought, okay, how do I decorate this to give this flying feeling that I wanted? And I came up with this ostinati in the violas and the celli that have this
Ooh.
fluttering kind of feel, which kind of represents the wings flapping, right? And they have a lot of motion, they have a lot of energy, which really supplements and helps with this brightness that I was after. Then I have
Very
this
chirp chirp.
in the violins. Below the melody, it was important that the melody be on top. And that just added to the flutter that I was after. Right. So I came up with that. And then at this point here, I felt like the piece was a little bit empty. I wanted to add something. And so I added this answering line in the clarinet. And I chose the clarinet in this register because this is the middle register of the clarinet, which tends to be rather bright, but not shrieking, not too dark. It's the perfect register for the clarinet to be expressive, right? And it fit perfectly with the melody. And I chose the clarinet rather than the oboe for this because the oboe in this register is a lot more sad and mournful, right? Just for demonstration. And that doesn't sound anywhere near as bright and as gentle as this. And so once I had this bass, I just kept going here. And then I just kept going. And I did the same here where I had this figure in the woodwinds. I did this figure because it sounded kind of bird-y to me and it sounded good. So I did it. So that's the way I approached the orchestration. It's really about... It's fine if you start with the piano, because that's what I did. I started with the piano. And it's really about knowing what kind of effect you're after and trying to achieve that with your instruments.
I was going to ask, would you start only just the main melody and just like the main skeleton of the piece with piano and then add in instrumentation pretty early on? Or would you start adding more layers with piano as well before you started tweaking?
I usually do. I did a whole piano sketch first.
Oh,
so that's what I did in this. So I wrote the entire piano sketch. In this case, well, there's the guzheng and the ukulele, but they could just as well be in the piano. And once I have the whole piano sketch, I always know when I'm writing the melody, I always know what part means what. So what kind of emotion I want for what part. So that's the document that I sent to you, right? My whole thesis on this piece. And then based on that, I'll improvise the orchestration. I'll get directly into my big orchestral score and then I'll start writing.
Right.
Based on what I want.
Right. Do you tend to change instruments around much? Like after you've got all the main parts down already? Or do you in the process of writing your parts, you're like, yeah, I definitely want this part to be this specific instrument. I have it all set.
Generally, I know what I want and I rarely change instruments around because, again, I'm using instruments based on their register, their tone, their range, their playing, the way they play. So I have a good idea of what each instrument can do, and I'm using that to achieve certain effects. But it does happen that I'm
Right.
not happy with the way I thought it was going to sound. It turns out it doesn't sound quite like what I want, and I'm switching things
Mm.
around.
Okay, okay. Cause I find that also that I tend to like go back and forth a lot between like different instruments after I finish the piano the piano sketch of one particular line. Like I have like a vague sort of idea in my head of how I want it to sound, but I just don't know what instrument is like right for that sound to keep going back and forth between different ones. Are there any tips you have for instrumentation in general?
Uh, yes, you have to know the instruments,
Ooh, okay. Learn
and
all the
that doesn't
instruments.
mean you have to learn to play them.
Mm.
But you have to know the ranges, the way they play, what they can and can't do. These are the important things. But the most important thing you want when it comes to orchestration is you want to have a library. So
Oh,
you listen to a lot of music, and by listening to a lot of music, you're going to be absorbing certain techniques or instrumentations that you enjoy, and you're going to keep those in mind. And when you want to write something of a certain mood, you'll be passively remembering those, and that's the way you're going to be able to replicate them in your music.
huh.
And
Uh,
then for the specifics of writing what instrument does what, that's when the knowledge of each instrument comes in.
Musical library of what instruments? Um, I'm taking notes now. I'm being a good, being a good pupil. Uh, Instrumentation. Know the instruments, what they are capable of. Keep a musical library of what instrument of different instrumental
If you
parts.
want to get results, I have a resource for you for the.
Oh, take notes. Take notes. Take them down. Write them down, guys. Hurry. It's gonna be on the test.
Here, I'm gonna send it to you on Discord. This is a very comprehensive list of what instruments do you, how they're played, what their ranges are, what their registers are. It's
Oh,
awesome.
that's so good. Thank you. Oh, that is excellent. Thank you so much. Snowflake says, as a listener of music much more than a creator, I tend to look for the emotional feel behind a piece while I'm listening. As a composer, is it the emotion of a piece that you consider while making and refining your music, or does that just tend to come along as you're making the pieces?
I have my personal process is this is a really good question, by the way. But my personal
Excellently
process
said.
is a mix between the two, where
Ah.
I'm very extremely intentional in the way I write music, right? So when I wrote Song of Wea, for example, that's what I said earlier. I had this idea of I want this to mean that, to represent this. How do I achieve this? And that's going to influence the sketch. That's going to influence the melody, the bass line, the chords, and that's going to influence the orchestration, right? Where every instrument has a specific role. But at the same time, there's also cases where I'm just writing intuitively. And then when I go back and analyze what I write to see if it works or not, I realize that there's layer of complexity in it that I was absolutely not expecting. I'm going to give you an
Ah.
example.
That's so cool.
I'm going to give you a secret example.
Mm-hmm.
If I can find it.
It just flows through your fingertips without you even thinking about it.
So I was working on a new piece and I
Mm.
came up with this melody, which was eventually rejected by the person I wrote it for.
Oh, what?
And my idea for this melody was just to have something that was a little bit sad and bittersweet. And the core idea of the melody was to use this trick from the Neural Automata series, where you start with a non-chord tone and then you resolve up to a chord tone, because it gives the melody a sense of gravity and weight. And I wanted to use that
Ah.
for this piece. So I wrote this melody.
it's jazzy. Kind of.
And then it goes on. But when I went back, I realized that it was actually pretty sophisticated. Like, the only thing I did on purpose was I actually took notes. I'm gonna read out the notes that I took about this. So my idea was to have a more or less formal cantus firmus, avoiding leaps, sticking to seconds, thirds, with it being properly handled. So all this is counterpoint blabber, which means that the melody is simple and comfortable, which was on purpose to keep the melody as gentle as possible and comfortable and comforting to listen to.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a music box kind of lullaby.
Yeah. The constant switch between minor and major, especially on tonic dominant chords, so you have a minor tonic chord here, you have a major dominant chord, gives the piece a softer, somewhat tragic feeling. This is something I figured out over time as I wrote and experimented with this kind of switch. Then the melody slowly drifts downwards during a major chord and then goes up quickly during a minor chord. So you have this opposition between the slow, comfortable descent in the major chord, and then you have this rapid rise of tension in the minor chord, especially with the minor being an extended chord, and resting mostly on extensions, so dissonances. And I realized when I wrote that it actually gets a lot more complicated than this. So the way this works, this is an E minor chord, so that means these notes here are not part of the original chord, right? E minor being E, G, and B. And so the first beat is skipped. So in a 4/4 measure, the important beats are, one is the most important, then the third one is the second most important because it marks a pause. Then the fourth is the third most important, and the least important is the second one. So by skipping the first one and having this little pickup note, especially it being a dissonance resolving to a consonance, it puts a lot of emphasis on this second beat here. And already that completely disrupts the normal the normal rhythm you expect of a 4/4, right? But it actually goes further. You have this double neighbor here, which means that these two notes are leading and pulling towards the note that is between them, which is this one. But this one is a dissonance. It's not part of the chord. So this one wants to resolve. And in traditional counterpoint, it resolves down by step. So down here. But the resolution is actually delayed by this little figure here, which is a leap followed by a leap. So you have all these layers that are working together. And the effect of that is that this melody is never really resolve. It's just tension upon tension upon tension. And it starts resolving properly when you reach that major 7 chord. So I didn't write it this way. All I wanted I just wanted to use this, right? And it turns out that as I wrote, like all these layers came together. And so this is the way I write. And this is why sometimes I write intentionally, sometimes I write intuitively. And then I go back and realize, oh, wait, hold on. This is actually really cool. So everyone has their own process. This is mine. This is why I like music so much. But yeah, it's both can happen. It's not, you don't have to stick to one or the other. Just write in the way that's comfortable for you, and it's gonna work.
I see. Thank you very much. That was very insightful once again. Oh, there is so much thought that goes behind even just like a very quick, just like how many bars was that? There's like 4 bars of music or something. 2?
That was 8 bars.
8. Even just 8 bars of music.
The one I explained was just 4. So yeah, 4 bars of music.
Oh my goodness. Am I looking forward to more musical analysis videos from you? I'm deliberately holding back right now and asking you on what your opinions are on like specific pieces of music or specific OSTs, because I know there's so much that you could say about them. But for anyone who isn't aware, I believe, Sidon, you've already put out a couple of YouTube videos where you go into deep dives, right?
I have two that I'm working on.
Mhm.
I have one that is a very quick summary of why the Waltz of the Flowers is genius, essentially. And it was this part of I was doing this term where I was studying the Waltz of the Flowers, and I went on this 15-minute rant about why it's so great. And a friend of mine just clipped that, edited that, and turned it into a short video. But it's the core of what my YouTube content is going to be. It's going to be analyzing music, whether it be already published music or my own, and explaining why it works, why it doesn't, and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting, at least to me. But it can get very theory heavy. But I'm gonna do shorter videos to explain the theory that is needed to understand all these.
Cause I really enjoyed that one, even though as you know, my musical knowledge, theory-wise, is quite limited. I feel like even without fully understanding everything, it was still like, you could tell that you knew what you were talking about, and you kind of get like an idea of the points that you were trying to make. Do you mind if I quickly link it here? Actually, I feel like I should.
Sure. I'd mind. You have a good question in your chat from Fullfix.
Yes.
Another question about how to make an orchestra piece bring out a certain emotion. Are there any guidelines or tips that help make one sound more in depth, dramatic, and powerful, like those maybe trailer themes or war-oriented anthems?
Oh, the classic dun dun dun.
So, the one trick to making things feel more intense, more or less intense, is acoustic space. What that means is that there's going to be a massive difference between a piece of music that happens between these two notes. No, it's not working. Give me. No, why is it not working?
Oh no!
I need to go back to this one.
It bugs out the worst time.
There you go. So there's going to be a world of difference between a piece of music that happens between these two notes and a piece of music that happens between these two notes.
Ooh, I see. Yeah.
And it's not just that you have a wider range, it's also how you use it. I can demonstrate that.
Oh my god, live demonstration. This is what we're here for. Excellent questions, all of you, class. Excellent questions. Thank you for participating in the class.
I'm gonna need to pull up the a really, really bizarre thing. Give it a minute to open.
I've heard many things about Reaper, mostly from like Utaides and people mixing covers and stuff. Do you reckon it's like a worthy investment for anyone who isn't like super well versed in music?
Is. I do everything on Reaper.
Ooh.
So this is Don't Spectart. This is the one that I showed earlier, right? And look at that. God. So this is the entire piece, right?
This feels like a...
So this is the beginning. And look at this part in particular. Look at how few instruments... look at how little of the piano roll is used, right? You have these, what is that, 2.5 octaves? And listen. And then immediately after, look at the way the acoustic spectrum is raised, right? You have a whole octave that comes up above that. And listen to the difference it makes.
Ooh, immediately more grounds.
Immediately more intense, right?
Oh my goodness.
And the way it works is there are two elements. The first one is the acoustic spectrum is expanded, so it uses more of the piano, essentially. And you can very, very visually see it here. But also, it uses the existing spectrum more. So there's more happening in a wider range. Whereas something like this that has a fairly wide acoustic spectrum, but it's quite empty, you can see it. It's not quite as intense, even though it actually uses more the acoustic spectrum. Because it's emptier, it uses it less, even if it uses a wider range. And so these are the two things you want for a sound that is really powerful and grand. You want to use a lot of the acoustic spectrum, and you want to use it a lot. So to do that, usually you just have a bigger kind of orchestration. This is something that cinematic trailers do a lot. They have like these enormous brass sections because brass is typically very powerful, very prominent. But that's not all they do. They use like very high strings, they have very low basses, and we fill in the middle with percussion, with ostinati in the middle strings. So these are essentially the two main ways that you can achieve a grander, more powerful sound.
Oh, fascinating.
And once again, it's you have to keep in mind how instruments work.
I see.
But yeah, so this is actually a trick that I discovered about a year and a half ago. And when I went back through my earlier, I discovered that trick after I wrote this piece. And when I went back through my earlier compositions, I found that I was actually using it without being aware of it. And that's what I said earlier, where you listen to a lot of music, you're going to be picking up on all these ideas, even if you might not be aware of it. And then you're going to be reusing them passively because you have this library of sound in your head, right?
I see. Sounds like this. Professionally, Storm works with computers, and your description, an example, honestly felt like an accidental discovery when writing and compiling computer code. That sounds like a very, very interesting comparison. That sounds like...
It also applies to writing. It's happened to me a couple times when I was writing my novels, where I went back to a chapter and I was like, hold on a minute, this is actually really good. And it's just, it happens. Don't try to force it. Sometimes it happens naturally, but it's good to have an idea of what you want to do before so that it's easier to do it. Because if you go into a piece of music and you have no idea what you want to do, then you're not going to be doing anything, right?
Yeah, don't apologize for the metaphor, Storms. Like that sounds very relatable. That was a great connection to make. I am curious as well, though. Speaking of like movie trailers, I personally have noticed like an incredible like. I don't know if it's just recent or if I've just become more aware of it, but like specifically in like I don't know like big Hollywood movie trailers, they all kind of sound the same to me. They kind of I feel like they all have like the exact same like bum 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 boom. That one sound. Like what is it? Is it a synth?
It's because they basically do. It's very formulaic. It's not like original video game music where you write to a certain mood or a certain character, where you have very specific ideas that you want to transmit. The core idea of a trailer is to be exciting and intense, and every trailer kind of does the same thing in that way. Because they're not meant to be memorable. The trailer music is not the one that you're going to remember, right? Can you hum a single trailer music that you can remember?
I remember a little trailer music from video games. Now that you mention it, some of these are like my favorite, like little short tracks from the albums that don't get talked about as much.
But then there's so many video game and movie music that you can hum and you remember and you recognize.
That's fair.
So the goal of the trailer music is not to be memorable, like a lot of video game or movie music is, but really just to give this sense of power and excitement. Whereas music that is tailored to a specific scene or to a specific character, that is meant to be associated with that scene or that character, and that's going to be infinitely more memorable. Especially if the scene or the character are themselves very memorable.
That's fair.
So
That's
the
fair.
function of trailer music is really just to be in the background to intensify the excitement, but it's not meant to support an emotion, which is why it kind of all sounds the same, because it kind of is all the same. Because it doesn't need to be different to achieve the right effect.
That makes sense. That's understandable. I suppose it's probably my personal preference for like personal preference for trailers and like media content that makes the trailers into more of like they're a little art piece as well. But it's understandable that it's like more formulaic for most things.
It really depends on the piece.
Wait, sorry?
It depends on the piece and on the person, because I am utterly insensitive to trailer and most movie music. What I'm really after is the melodies and the emotional connection to a scene or to a character. But other
Right.
people might work differently. They might be after that intensity that you're
Yeah.
describing from the trailer music.
Oh, some rapid fire like basic musical notation questions before we go into our second ad break. Some of the questions I had in my initial list were time signatures. I have had multiple people explain time signatures to me in multiple ways, and I somehow still don't fully grasp them. They go in one ear and out the other. It hasn't stuck with me.
Okay, so time signatures are really not complicated once you learn how to read them.
Yeah.
So what the time signature tells you is how many beats essentially are in a measure. And so the beat is determined by the lower number. So you have the reference is a quarter note, which is this one. Right? This is the one that plays in a metronome. Typically. And this is the 4 at the bottom. This tells you that this 4 is a quarter note. So it's this one.
So a quarter note is a quarter of like a beats?
No, quarter note, this is going to be 1 beat.
Okay. So
usually it's 1 beat. There's
okay.
There's the triple meter, which are these ones that are a bit complicated. I don't know why I have a 6/8 here. But the basic is starting with this. You have the bottom one tells you this is a quarter note. Right. So this one is an 8th note, which is half that. This one.
Right.
So that tells you that you're going to be reading your base of reading in the sheet music is going to be, in this case, a quarter note. In this case, it's going to be an 8th note. Right? So this is just a trick of reading to know what you're trying to count in the notation. And then the number above tells you how many of this unit there is per measure. So this one has 4, this one has 3, this one has 2. And in this case, there's 6 8th notes per measure. Right?
Okay. So 4/8 is the same as 2/4. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of equivalent. There's
Okay.
a tiny difference, which is notational. And in terms of, if you play with metronome, for example, it's going to be you're going to be counting the beat differently, but they're pretty much equivalent.
Right. Okay. So, in terms of the bottom number, it's a quarter note because it's a quarter of a bar?
It's
Wait,
I don't really have an explanation for why this is called a quarter note. So this is called a whole note.
Right.
And I'm not sure why. I haven't found any answer why this is called. I've wondered as well, but I don't know. So this is called a quarter note.
Alright.
The notation is spore. I don't know. I like it. It makes sense to me.
Wait, so there's 2 quarter notes and a whole note. Is that? Wait, no, 4. Right, 4. There is 4.
There's 4. Yes.
Okay, it's the open circle. That's the 2. Right. Okay. Yeah.
This one is the 2.
Yeah.
This one is 4.
I see. Oh, my primary school music lessons are coming back to me.
Now, there is one difference that is really important to know if you're going to count the beats properly. And that's the double or triple meter. What that means is that how do I explain this simply? So the triple meter is things like 6/8 and 12/8, where the beats are different. And here, each beat you have is on a quarter note. So if you use a metronome, it's going to be like this. Same thing here. But in this case, in 6/8, you don't have this. Instead, you have that. So one beat is made of these 3 half notes. It's a bit complicated, and it really doesn't matter, especially if you're trying to learn. You're going to be using a beat that works for you. But if you're going to play at a higher level or professionally, if you're going to compose, it's important to know the difference between the 2.
I see. I definitely understand this a lot better now. Thank you. Have you ever seen a bottom note of 16 before? Is that like a thing at all?
If you see a bottom note of 16, you run away very, very fast. So counting on the meter of 16th note is absolute hell. Complete mayhem.
Do you speak from experience?
Yeah.
Really? Wait, what? When have you ever had to do that?
It was a sight reading challenge that my teacher gave me that I failed spectacularly.
Oh my god.
It was horrible. I hated it. But the time signatures that you're going to encounter the most as you compose are going to be these ones.
Okay.
There's going to be 4/4, which is common time, 3/4, which is the waltz time. There's going to be 6/8, which is this one with the weird pulse. And another one you might encounter often is the 12/8.
12/8? Oh, that's just like an extended 8th bar.
A good way to think about these ones, the 6/8 and the 12/8, is if you take one of those, but you have triplets instead of quavers. And that way it makes it easier. You can see they're linked the same way. Right? So you have 3 per beat. And this just makes it easier to read when you're writing. And it saves some ink because you don't have to write 3 over absolutely everything.
Oh, I see.
A lot of the more advanced music notation things all things that were meant to save on ink to avoid having to write
Oh,
too much.
that's fascinating. That's a fascinating little piece of history. Most did you say most notation is made to save ink?
Yep.
Most notation.
And there's a lot of it that is absolutely not clear, but it's meant to save on ink. So the clarity, you don't really care because the performers are going to practice the piece before. So they will know what they're doing. They will know how to read the notation. So you can afford to save on ink because there's the rehearsals, right? It doesn't really matter nowadays because you don't care about saving on ink. But that's the way lots of things evolved, especially things like the repeats and the coders and all that kind of stuff, the jumps. They were made to save on ink, not have to rewrite entire sections of music.
Ah, that makes sense. That's understandable. Very fascinating. I have a second basic-ish foundational music theory question. Professor Sidonia, what do the numbers next to the chords mean? like the AM7, the AM9, AM
Oh, okay, so these are
12.
extended chords. So
Extended.
a normal chord, yes, a normal chord is what's called a triad. It's made of 3 notes, right? And the way you notate a note is you notate it with the root. So in this case, it's a D. The root is a D, so it's not really the lowest note because this is still a D major chord, but it has a different bass note. So you have the root and then you have a third and another third stacked on top of it. And that gives you a D chord. And to know if it's a D major or a D minor, you look at the interval between the root and the third above. If it's a major third, then you have a D major chord like this one. If it's a minor third, then you have a D minor.
Oh.
And there's another kind of chord, which is the diminished. 2 other kinds of chords. There's the diminished and the augmented chords. The diminished chords, because normally when you stack thirds, it alternates between minor and major third. So between these two, there's a minor third. Between these two, there's a major third. And then the opposite. This is a D major chord. So you have a major third first, and then a minor third first, right? But when you have 2 minors, one after the other, this is a diminished chord.
Oh.
And when you have 2 majors next to each other, it's an augmented chord.
I always wondered what they mean
augmented.
when I see them come up like on some like ukulele chord thingos. I just go by whatever like the fingering tells us to do. And I'm like, this is like slightly different. I don't know why though.
I have a hydrate for him, but I'm out of water. I'll go pick up some water after I answer this.
I received a hydrate from the lovely.
Thank you for the following. So you stack thirds, right? But nothing stops you. Like you don't have to stop at 3 notes. You can go above. So if you do 4, for example,
wow,
that is a D7. Well, this one is D dominant 7, but that is a 7th chord because the interval between the tonic and the highest note is a 7th. And then you can keep going. If you go 1 more, that's going to be a 9th.
Oh, wait, so the default chord is like a D5. But nobody writes
the default chord is
default?
The D5 means a power chord, which is a bit different, but the default chord is a triad, just 3 notes. And then if you stack more than 3 notes, that's where you get the extended chords, the 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th.
So the default chord is technically a chord fifth because it's the five-step intervals, is it?
It's not really. There's the
It isn't?
D5 chord is different.
Huh?
Don't think of it
It
as a
is?
5 chord, because the D5 is actually a power chord, which means it's an open fifth. There's no third in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So you want to think of the default, the normal quote unquote chord as a triad, where you have
Okay.
just 3 notes stacked in thirds. And then you have these 3 different types of triad, right? Let me do that.
Power chord. Question, have you used it before?
I've used it a couple times. But
Oh.
the thing about power chords is that they are ambiguous because they don't have the third, so you don't know if they're major or minor. So they sit somewhere in between.
Interesting. Let me note down some of these different chord types.
I will be right back
default.
because Walter, while you write that down.
Absolutely. Let's take many notes. Well, our teacher is away. We've learned so much today! We learned so much! What have been the favorite things to learn about the stream so far? I don't know if I can pick one. They've all been so fascinating. But I did definitely I enjoyed learning about the different ways that Sidonia uses instrumentation to create different moods. And also about the different types of musical notation across different cultures. Even though it was very brief, it was very interesting to very briefly learn about. Power chords feature prominently in a lot of rock numbers. Oh, that's where the name comes from then, I assume. Very interesting. Thank you for the lesson, Professor. No, thank you, Storm. It's after minute for me. I must seek out my pillar. Absolutely appreciate it. I have learned and discovered here. I appreciate you being a bright and I'm thinking of a word, but it's left me. A bright, enthusiastic, and outgoing student while you've been here. Thank you very much for being with us. Have a great rest, Storm. Until next time. Also, Merc664, thank you so much for the hydrate. Welcome into the classroom. I hope you've been enjoying the TEDx talk by Sidonia, basically. Bright, enthusiastic, and unexplainable. Woohoo! How enigmatic of you. Hey! No! Because we're used to doing that because Amit. No, Amit!
I am back.
Welcome back, teacher!
Uh-oh. Oops.
Okay. The default chord is a triad. Minor has
A minor third
No.
between the root and the third.
a minor third.
Yes.
Okay.
I have hydrated Merc Medic. Thank you for the hydrate. Welcome.
Right. It is important for the professor to remain hydrated with all the lecturing that you've done today. See, the diminished. The diminished has a major third. Is that
No,
right?
the diminished has
wait.
minor thirds.
2 minor thirds. And the org has a major one.
The augmented has 2 major thirds.
2 major thirds. Wait. The the one that has just one major third, is that the default chord?
There's no default between major and minor, but diminished and augmented chords are a lot less common than major and minor.
Oh, wait. No, that makes... Yeah, okay, I see. Power chord. Oh my gosh, it's going off the page. It's going off of my notebook. I need a new page. Hold on. Power chord. Missing the second third.
It's missing the third. The middle
third.
note
Okay.
is missing. So you only have this open fifth interval, which means that the chord has no equality. So you don't know if it's minor or major. And that places it in between the two. It's a chord that's very, very common in rock and metal.
I see. And the seventh is
the seventh chord is when you add
note.
an extra third above the chord.
Extra third above the chord. Understood. Thank you.
Now, there's a lot of different seventh chord, but I'm not going to get into that just yet. Once you have a strong grasp on all the basic chords, we can look into the different seventh chords. But for now, having a good understanding of just these four chords is a really strong foundation. When I wrote my first ever piece, The Sibling Waltz, that was all I knew. I knew the basics of chords and functional harmony.
Wait, okay. You've immediately stumbled upon another term that I'm not entirely familiar with. What is a functional harmony?
Functional harmony is like tonic harmony, dominant harmony, predominant.
There's different types of harmonies? I'm gonna need another page in my notebook.
It's like it's the way chords have certain pull towards other chords. Within a certain
chord. So what's the word for it? Chord like synchronies?
Harmonies?
Wait. Thinking of a word. Hold on. Chord synergies? Is that a good way to describe it?
Called relationships.
Relationships. Chord relationships. They include harmonies?
Alright, so let me do you know the different notes? So if I say the words scale degree, does that speak to you?
Scale degree?
Yes.
No. Unless you mean the degree I can get in the mail.
Do you know you know what a scale is, right? L-A-F-L-D?
Yes.
Okay, so there's 7 notes in a scale, right? And you define the scale by its first note. So, for example, this one is C major. So the first note of the scale, that's C, that is called the tonic. And then the 5th note of the scale, that is the one that has the strongest pull towards the tonic. And that is called the dominant. Thank you for the luck, Evildy.
Fifth note.
Good luck with the movie.
Oh, I'm learning so much. So many dictionary definitions.
And then the fourth note of the scale is called the predominant because it has strong pull towards the dominant.
Ooh, okay. Predominant goes both notes. The scale. Pull towards fifth. Okay.
Now, this terminology also applies to chords. So the chords that have the strongest pull towards the tonic, so the tonic chords are going to be the chords that are the most stable. So they're places of rest. They don't have any particular pull towards anything.
Oh.
The dominant chords are the chords that are going to have strong pull towards these chords. They want to go towards the tonic. It's called a resolution, right? So they want to resolve towards the tonic chords.
Ah.
And the predominant are chords that want to resolve towards the dominant.
Ah, so it's like a rock, paper, scissors, except not really. It's like a flow graph from predominant
like a
to
flow
dominant to tonic. Whoa, sorry. I just received.
Sophie, you got it right.
Ah, I received a gang of new students. Do you mind if we welcome them in?
Thank you for it. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome to class. We have a very special guest today, the amazing Sidonia VT, who created this brilliant background music. How cozy! Welcome in, Demon is a very, very incredible and an artist fellow of mine. Melancholy VT, welcome to the class. How are you? I hope you enjoy your stay here. They are very, 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 very multi-skilled individual, might I say. They already have many skills in live 2D rigging, drawing, painting, coding, reading, singing. What about adding composition to that list? What about adding musical composition? D, have you ever considered becoming a student of Sidonia? I can testify. I've been learning under Sidonia for like 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and I've already solidified more musical concepts in my brain than I have over like years of different people explaining things to me. I feel like something about the way like Sidonia explains things like very practically, and also the way that, you know, she's able to demonstrate them immediately on the sheet music just makes it super easy to understand and like super like quick and straightforward. It's very straightforward. What were you up to, Demon? Floodhound, hi. Obsidian, hi. Melancholy, Gusta Belko, welcome in, you students. We currently team mode. Yeah, we are. We're studying very hard. And here's a quick reminder for anyone who just joined that I do have a redeem on right now called Take Notes. And if you redeem that, you can add a note to my little notebook down here in the bottom. And at the end, we can review our notes together to create a summary of what we've learned. So this model, I know, right, Sidonia? Your model is so pretty. Like, it caught my eye from the first moment that I saw it on Twitter. We love Sunnies. Yeah, don't we? Hello, thank you. Yes, greet your master. Bow down. Grovel at the feet of your master right now. I'm groveling.
If you've been interested in music theory, you are in the right place because I'm an absolute music theory demon.
Absolute.
I absolutely love music theories.
Also, Demon was just hanging hanging out with Destiny 2. That sounds like a very intense action game. I hope.
Oh, I played Destiny 2.
Wait, you did? Oh,
Hmm?
you did? Wait, what was it like? What kind of game is it?
Hold on. I'm gonna link you. I know this is bad etiquette, but I'm gonna link you a clip.
Oh no! Oh good. No worries.
And you'll see.
A sweaty gamer demon. Okay, gamer. Add gamer to that list of skills. Were you winning, son? Really? I got no. Sidonia, are you a pro gamer at Destiny?
Most definitely not. I haven't played it in quite a while.
No, I was gonna say maybe you can be a demon's coach not only in music theory but also in Destiny 2. Can you imagine giving like a music lesson while you're also playing Destiny 2?
That would be interesting.
If it was Sidonia, I think you would do it. You could do it.
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna link you the.
It would be no death for you. This is my first time playing in a while, too. Oh, wow, veteran players. Did this game come out quite a while ago then? Talk to me about the Destiny 2 OST.
Alright, can you share this on stream?
Yes, sure. Gladly, I'll gladly.
You need the sound, the sound is the best part.
A demonstration from your teacher coming right up. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, a demonstration.
Yes! Learn well and study!
Yeah, you picked it up. Follow me. See this thing? I think you have to throw it on.
What's going on?
Throw it on.
What is... Oh! Wait, what happened?
It was perfect.
I need some like pro gamer commentary here. I need like the sports voiceover narrating everything that's happening. Except maybe the last part. I think that was pretty self-evident. Is tied behavior? Is this like a in-game community sort of joke?
It was my first time playing the game. I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh my god!
And I was supposed to destroy this thing. I was carrying a bomb. I was supposed to destroy these things. I had no idea I was going to play myself.
Oh, okay. Because it looked like to me you opened a chest and immediately exploded. I thought it was like a trap or something that you like triggered by accident.
Nope, I blew myself up with the bomb.
Wow, that was like, that was a pretty deeply strategic, self-sacrificial move you made for your first time playing the game. Even I can tell, even though I've never played before. Right?
Big brains.
I think your teammates must have been like very, very grateful. I'm very impressed by your.
I think his sides hurt from laughing too much.
Oh my god, that sounds fun though. That sounds interesting. A sci-fi fantasy MMO shooter looter with space opera. Wait, opera? Is this like deeply music related? Maybe. Oh god,
no,
you're gonna send.
It's a big story. I haven't touched Destiny in forever. I've been playing The Last Descendant, the first Descendant instead.
Oh.
But yeah, I tried out Destiny. I played it for a bit.
I see. Interesting. I was gonna say you're gonna accidentally start Sidonia on like a Destiny OST tangent.
Oh, Destiny has some really good music.
Ooh, oh, here we go. I'm ready.
Although the best music I've heard in this genre of game, the best music I've heard was, I believe it was Wolfram, which is the Von Narmer song. It has a beautiful chromatic chord. Absolutely genius. But yeah, it's games in general tend to have excellent music. I said it to you earlier, but video game music is the spiritual successor to classical music, and classical music is my jam. So it's normal that I would be attracted to video game music.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like video game music in general like feels a lot more intentional. Tends to be more like purposeful, maybe because they're like, they're written with like very specific like context in mind. I also love like video game music that like flows into different states depending on the game state. Like, wow, that is so badass.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
cool.
the way. So the way this works
Mm.
in terms of actual programming is, well, the composer writes the music with different layers, and
Mm.
depending on the game states, more or less or fewer layers are going to be activated, and that's how you
Mm.
get this very smooth transition between different states of the music. And then with everything that I said before with the orchestration and whatever, you can elicit different moods based on what layers you trigger.
That's so cool. Wait, it's a bit of the programming side of things too? Ayo. Ayo. The Sidonia never stops impressing us.
I mean, I did some programming, but I have to know the technical side of things if I want to write music for video games.
Understandable though. That's very valid. That's very true. I've also been like as an animator, I try to look a little bit into like how animations are programmed as well, even though sometimes it gets very very technical. I can't entirely understand all of it. Definitely helps to see at least like a little glimpse of the other side and
It
how they
helps
function.
even just the basics. If you understand the
Yeah.
basics, then you can you
Yeah,
can
like the
it makes you better
concepts.
at what you do.
You can kind of communicate with them more. Hopefully, ideally. Big shout out. But I'm gonna take this moment to give you another shout out, Sidonia. Because if you haven't already, you should be following Sidonia for more musical stuffs and a whole lot of writing, composition, and also general piano and violin playing. Is that correct?
Yep, yep. I haven't played on stream in a while because I haven't really
Oh,
had a chance. But
I
I play
see.
the
I
piano and
see.
the violin for supporters. And lots
Mm,
of original music as well.
yeah, I love your just like random piano playing streams as well. They're so comfy. Uh, video games is success for classical music. Someone actually said, Question, you've struck a chord. You've like brought in brought the lights of understanding upon Questia today. A single shaft of light from the heavens has graced their forehead.
My dream is to play every instrument I can put my hand on. Hey, I can relate. I'm always like, I want this instrument. I want this instrument.
Oh
I
my
want this instrument.
god. How many
I
instruments
have
do you
like,
have?
let's see. I have the piano. I have 3 violins. I have my guitar. I have 2 guitars. I have my clarinet. I have a thesis. So that's let's see, piano, 3 violins. I have 8 instruments.
Wow. Impressive. I could like hear you counting on your fingers through the mic. Oh my god. Like in the Civilization games. Like what? Do Civilization games have like adaptable music?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know about that.
A lot
I
of
thought they were
action
just like,
games do that as well.
oh, I thought like they were just like chill. I don't know, chill civilization building games. Music gets more complex as you progress in the modern era. Wait, what? That's so badass! I didn't know this. What? What? That's so cool. Here's the place. Wow. Thank you for sharing all that about all that. I'm sorry, by the way. I'm sorry also that I derailed what you were talking about in terms of scales. Would you like to? I don't entirely remember where I interrupted your train of
I
explanation, but if you'd like to pick
was explaining
Mhm.
functional harmony.
Functional harmonies. Okay.
So, do
Okay.
you have any questions about tonic, dominant, predominant chords?
Not at the moment. Are there any other, notable notes in the scale?
There's okay. That's a little bit more advanced, but you have
Ooh.
essentially two kinds of notes. I want to emphasize notes and not chords. I'm talking about just the individual notes here, but you have the stable tones, the ones that are happy to stay where they are, and these are going to be the 1, the 3, and arguably the 6. The 6 is in a bit of a weird spot, but the 1 and the 3 are going to be your most stable tones. And then you have the tendency tones. And these are the ones that want to go towards another note. So you have the dominant, which wants to go to the tonic. So this one wants to go to this one. Then you have the predominant. The fourth note is called the predominant. It wants to resolve up to the dominant. Then you have the supertonic. That's the second note. It wants to resolve either down to the tonic or up to the third one.
Okay, supertonic.
Then you have the leading tone. That's the seventh one. This one wants to go up to the tonic. Sorry, the leading tone is this one. Then you have the other stable tone is the third one I mentioned. That's called the mediant. And the sixth one is the submediant. Depending on how you look at it, it either wants to resolve down to the fifth or it's a point of stability. In terms of chords, the six chord is more stable than the 3 chord, but in terms of notes, it's kind of the opposite. But the important notes that you need to remember, the most important one are the tonic, so the first one, the dominant, the fifth one, the predominant, the fourth one, and the leading tone, the seventh one, which is not this one, it's this one.
Okay. Leading tone. Seventh note. Scale. Okay. The supertonic was the second note in a scale. Wants to resolve up or down. And was that also the case with the not the fourth, the sixth?
No, the fourth. No, the fourth wants to resolve up to the fifth. It can resolve down to the third, but it's less strong resolution. Usually, you want it to go to the fifth.
Was there like another super something notes that came after supertonic?
The supertonic can go down to the tonic or up to the medians, the third one.
Medians.
Yes.
Medians, MEDIENCE?
Like this.
Oh, okay. Medians equals the third note in a scale. Okay, I see. And this one doesn't have any particular qualities, does it?
No, this one is a stable tone.
Okay. Stable. I never knew there were like so many different qualities of each individual note in a scale. Cool.
It's useful for tension and resolution.
And
then the chords work differently, but that's another topic that's a little bit more complicated.
I see. Does this differ ever between different types of scales?
In the major and minor scales, no. But there's other sorts of scales, and even within the modes, it changes. So it works for minor and major. but it changes depending on what other kind of scale you have.
Huh?
Because there's more scales than just minor and major, right? There's all the modes, there's octatonic, whole tone. There's a lot of different scales. I wouldn't be able to give you a comprehensive list,
Okay.
and it gets kind of complicated.
There's
but-
even more scales than I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of scales, and I really haven't used too many. Like, the first time I've ever used a pentatonic scale was for Song of Wuya.
Ah, isn't pentatonic like the scale that pop music uses or something? Or is that something else?
No, Eastern music uses a lot of pentatonic scales
right, okay.
because a lot of Asian instruments function on the pentatonic model, like the dizi
Okay.
or the guzheng.
I'm thinking
And
of different
that's why I
tones then.
chose.
Hmm.
That's why I chose the pentatonic scale for the middle section of Song of Wuya, because the main instrument is the guzheng, and it just fit.
Hmm. Thank you, bless you, Lorna. So wait. There was this one like either like a scale or a chord that I keep like that keeps coming up in terms of like pop music discussion. Do you have an idea what that might be? There was something about like this is like the easiest scale to use or the easiest chord to use in order to like quickly compose like notes that will always sound good together. I feel like it started with P.
I can't think of anything.
Okay,
Pop music uses essentially just 1, 4, 5, 6 chords.
Okay. I'll bring
It's
it up.
very reductive.
Oh.
And very simple. But that's on purpose. I can't think of anything like particular scale that they don't use complicated scales, like not even modes. They stick to major minor. And they mostly use 1, 4, 5, 6.
Ah, I see. Okay, since we're I noticed that we're almost approaching 3 hours. Okay, my bad. I feel like I probably brought you on the most tangents by cutting in with questions.
I mean, if you want to keep going, I'm not. I'm not to keep going.
Oh, I wish that I could, but I probably do have to get an early night tonight. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Thank you so much for your time,
I did answer most of your questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to think out of the ones left, which are the most important. Oh, I wanted to ask. Okay, following on with what we learned about time signatures, is there a way that you identify what time signature or what BPM a piece of music should be in?
It's entirely based on how you feel the music should be. There's no set rule. There's no like, okay, so this BPM is going to be this emotion. This BPM is going to be this emotion. There's no. You don't have like sadder emotions tend to use slower BPMs because happy songs and love themes tend to have very slow BPM as well. So there's no rule. It's all about how you feel the song and how you picture it in your head. So sometimes you're going to be writing something and it's not going to feel right at the BPM at which you wrote, and then you change the BPM and it feels better. So it's really a matter of how you feel. And there's no set rule, there's no global guideline. It's just personal preference.
All vibes. I'm gonna have to count on myself to vibe it out. Oh boy. Alright. Mayhaps sometime if I progress on any of my compositions, I'll come begging you for your vibe check instead. For like perhaps your stats might give you a better role than me. Characteristics of different. Okay. I have 3 final questions for you, Sidonia. Unless any of the other students in Sidonia's or in my classrooms have any further last minute questions? I'll leave that open until Sidonia finishes these 3 questions, perhaps. They can do anything though. What? What? Can I do it well though? I'll do my
I believe
best.
in you.
Thank
You can do it.
Thank you. I shall do my best. I was going to present Sidonia with like the very much work in progress piece that we were working on for a little while, but it's so unfinished. I kept meaning to go back to it, but I always I get to maybe like the first line of melody, and then like I reach like a point of conclusion from that like little melody, and then I'm suddenly stuck. I'm like, okay, where do I bring this now? I can't just end it here.
Problem. That's the number one problem that
Yeah?
newer composers face. They have loads of ideas, but they don't know how to develop them.
Yeah. That's me. I come up with like a very, very short phrase. And I'm like, oh, this is such a fun sounding melody. I bet I could definitely make something cool with this. And then I write down like the short segment that I thought of, and I'm like, well, what's now?
Developing and expanding on music is a very long topic, but definitely something that needs to be talked about.
Oh, that leads well into one of my last questions, which was, what general tips do you have for beginner or aspiring composers who may be here?
Honestly, just write music the way that works for you. I've had people ask me questions about composing before, and I always see them say like, do I have to do this? Do I have to learn theory? Do I have to use notation? Do I have to use a DAW? Just do what works for you. And because your music is going to be personal, right? Don't see all these things that people recommend, like you should learn counterpoint, you should learn functional harmony, etc. Don't see them as obligations, but as neat tools that you can use to expand your vocabulary and your knowledge to write better music. But ultimately, just figure out your own process. Don't be afraid to experiment. And do what works for you. That's what I did, and how I came up with my very, very purposeful analytical process, because that's what works for me. But don't try to force yourself into a mold because you think this is where you need to be. That's not going to work for you, and it's going to make you miserable.
That's very wise. Very, very well spoken piece of wisdom from Sidonia. Thank you so much. Oh, Miku bits. Thank you very much for the Miku bits, Salmon. Much appreciated. We received a donation from a thankful Miku enjoyer. I was going to say in response to that, it feels very much like, it feels like the way you put it now reminds me a lot of like a very similar philosophy, I think, with a lot of different skills as well, I suppose, which is, I think it's easy to forget that when you're starting a new skill that you're not as familiar with. Like, I would probably say something similar for like someone who's like starting to draw, right? Like, don't worry too much about the technical process as long as you enjoy drawing. But like I probably forget that a lot when it comes to music, because it's something I'm a lot less familiar with, and it's something that I started trying to seriously do a lot later in my life. And so now like I get this feeling for music that like I wish I started like trying to write like silly songs when I was like young and I didn't have like a sense of shame. Cause now Because if I do it now, I have like a higher standard for myself. You know.
I mean, you don't have to start early. As long as you're having fun, then you can just go whenever. I mean, I've been composing for just 3 years, right?
That's amazing.
I'm over 30 years old. I started when I was over 30 years old, and look where I
Holy
got
cry.
to self-teaching and having fun. So don't be afraid to write something that you think is bad, as long as you're writing something and having fun.
Thank you, thank you. That was a very important piece of advice. I shall note it down in the summary, as Salmon put it. As Salmon quotes, Suri can't do anything since she is.
I do have a question from my chat.
Thank you, Salmon. Thank you. That's very encouraging. Then, do you reckon even
Sorry, I interrupted you. I have a question from my chat about how to read music. Solfege is not a method for reading music. It's a method for understanding scales and scale degrees. To read music, you need to learn to read the different clefs, and I talked about that earlier. But if you're a vocalist, you're going to be mostly using the treble clef, unless you're a bass or a baritone, then you use the bass clef. But a very, very simple way to learn to read these two clefs is you look at the reference pitch. So for the treble clef, which is this one here, that looks like a treble clef. I don't know what I'm supposed to... It kind of looks like a flower, I guess. The reference pitch is that second line from the bottom. That is a G4. So this is this note. And then from here, when you go from one line to one interline, or one interline to one line, you go one note above. So from here to here, you go from G to A. So this one is an A. Then this one is a B, etc., etc. And then if you go down, you go down one note. So this one is an F.
I hope you do your stay.
This one is an E, etc. So this is going to be your reference note, and then you can count from there when you see a note to figure out what it is. And over time, you're going to learn that, okay, this note, for example, you place this note here, I can tell that's a B because I have the experience, right? And over time, you're going to learn that to read it quickly by heart. And it's just a matter of experience. For the treble, for the bass clef, your reference note is going to be the second line from the top. And that's going to be this F here, F3. And that's really all you need to know to be able to read sheet music. At least the notes, because then there's alteration. There's a lot of other information that's important to know. But these are the two references you need to be able to read the notes.
Even despite knowing how to read sheet music at a standard level, that was still very insightful, and I've never heard it being explained that way before. So thank you for that, Sidonia.
If you want, there's another trick that you can do to help you read, is you can have several reference notes. So the basic one is going to be this G, G4 and F3. This is an F3, this one. So this one is a G4. So you know that from here you can pretty quickly count, like for example 3 to 4 to 5 up, without having to like really count like line by line. And then what you can do is, if you're starting to struggle from here, just learn a note that's somewhere here, easy to remember. So this one is an A. So remember this one is an A, and then you have 2 frames of reference. They're very, very easy to remember, and then you can count from those.
Very insightful. Thank you, Sidonia. I think if you ever started like a music blog or something, that would be fire as well.
I have my videos that I'm gonna do where I'm gonna explain. It's gonna be YouTube Shorts, and I'm going to explain quickly music theory, how to read basic stuff, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But in a fairly simple format so that people can just go to the video and have a quick reference instead of looking at a 35-minute deep dive into whatever topic.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's a lot more approachable.
And then if there's a
Friendly.
topic that I'm interested in,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a deep dive on it. I showed you a video where I have one of those deep dives, right?
Yes, I'm looking forward to them.
And that way, people have the quick reference. If they're looking for how do I read sheet music or what does a chord mean, what's the seventh chord, they have these quick videos to quickly explain the topic. They can go in depth if they want to, but they have the quick answer without having to sit through a 25-minute explanation that's mostly incomprehensible, and that's going to get them lost.
Claude says learning music theory from a VTuber would probably help me lots. Yeah,
If you have
actually.
any questions, you're free to contact me whatever way is better for you. I'm not on Twitter. I don't use Twitter. So Blue Sky, Discord, VGen, whatever works for you, you're welcome to contact me with any questions that you have.
Yeah, it's definitely more engaging with a fluffy, cute anime character to stream, right? This is another plug for Sidonia. To go watch Sidonia if you want to learn more about this sort of stuff, and like their general streams are very cute as well. They go I'm surprised the Poyo hasn't been redeemed yet. We haven't gotten any Poyos yet.
Well, the Poyo person is not here, so
the Poyo person? You have a designated Poyoer?
Yeah, someone who is always redeeming the Poyos. I don't think I'm in your Discord actually, Sneaking.
That's so cute. Like, okay, we
No,
definitely.
I don't think I'm in the.
Yeah. There's definitely always the people who have like their designated redeem though. They've got like Obsidian with the Vine Boom. I want to learn music too to play bass later.
If you guys have more questions, I'm gonna keep going so you can keep asking me questions and I'll keep answering.
Yes,
I'm always happy talking about music.
I was
G minor at sharp 7. That's the minor major 7 chords.
I don't know.
It's this chords. Do you have any more questions, Snivy?
Me! I believe someone, one of the other students does have a question. There's a lot of people here who are interested in learning music, which is really, really great. I hope the stream has been as helpful for everyone else as it has been for me. Salmon asks if you're in my Discord server. Wait, are you? Just real quick.
I don't think I am actually. I thought I was, but I don't think
that's fine then. That's fine then. No worries. Someday I'll actually understand chord changes because younger me didn't work hard enough in piano lessons. That's so valid. That's so valid. I feel like we always like tune out piano lessons when we like first get them as like compulsory piano music lessons. But then later you realize, hey, piano's actually pretty cool. God damn, I wish I paid more attention. That's me. Did you learn piano like early on, or is that also something you picked up like 3 years ago?
No, the piano. So my history with the piano is pretty long.
Oh, wow.
So when I was in middle school, we have compulsory music lessons in France in middle school, and mine was on Monday afternoon. It was the last class of the day. And my teacher would let my brother and me stay after class to tinker on the piano.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's how I started self-teaching the piano, and I continued throughout middle school. I had to stop when I went into college because I no longer had access to piano. And then I bought my own electric piano a few years back, and I started
Oh my God.
learning the piano again.
Damn. That's like actually such a cool origin story.
Oh, there's a really, really good question here. Sorry,
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
all right. So, one music teaching stream. All of my streams are music teaching streams. All you have to do is ask questions.
Yes.
I do streams where I'm composing live and explaining what I'm doing. If that's something you're interested in.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Sidonia, do you play rhythm games? Would that help in making music? I've played a
I'm
lot
curious
of rhythm
too.
games. I used to be very good at rhythm games.
Oh,
And
wait, which
yes,
ones?
I played Us, where I was top 250 in the world.
What?
I played Guitar Hero, but I was spectacularly bad at Guitar Hero. I've played Taiko, I've played Mustache. I played a lot of them.
Oh my goodness. A Qilin of many talents. That's incredible.
And yes, rhythm games do help in making music because they
Oh.
give you a really good understanding of rhythm, which is crucially important, as I explained earlier.
Ooh.
But
Yeah.
they also give you a good understanding of structure, because the maps made for rhythm games, and I know that because I made a lot of maps for rhythm
Oh.
games. They are based on the music that they cover, and that means the structure that exists in the music is going to be reflected in the map, provided it's well done.
Mhm.
And by playing these maps over and over again and playing a lot of different maps, you're going to be absorbing this information. And that's going to help you reuse the information for your own work. And that's what I explained earlier, where you have to listen to a lot of
Oh.
music to create good music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Wait until we learn the G minor ADD sharp 7 chord. Wait, is that a real chord?
G minor at the sharp 7. It's a G minor major 7.
Oh, minor major? Wait, what? They can be both?
Okay, so the way the chord works. So this is the G minor chord, right? If you remember what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
If you take this chord and you add a major 7th above that, you get this chord. And this is called the G minor. That's the G minor here. Major 7. And that's the G minor major 7 chord.
Oh, wait, Lunar says they just made that up. I can't believe it was a real chord. What the heck? That's so cool. Wait, so ADD stands for major? Add? It exists? What? Wait, it does exist. Wait, that's crazy. More revelations. I'm blowing my mind today. I feel like my initial understanding of music was like a pond, and now you've brought me into the widest open sea. It is like terrifyingly large, but also like very amazing at the same time.
Puyo puyo?
I was gonna say earlier, next time you get the chance, you should definitely go into Sidonia's stream and redeem a Poyo, because they're very cute. Have a good one, Salmon. The same with me. Now I only play it while sight reading. That's so cool. 300 isn't Osu is amazing. I know. That's incredible. What are sus chords?
Sus chords are suspended chords.
They're not sus? Like suspicious?
No, it's a bit of a difficult topic because it's gonna require a bit of counterpoint. So I don't think I'm gonna have time to go into that now.
Okay, that's understandable.
But if you write down the question, I can answer that next time.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
I'll need to explain counterpoint to you. That's gonna be a whole lesson. So you get ready for that. I love counterpoint. Counterpoint is really fun.
Get ready for lesson 2. Where we go even deeper beyond the iceberg. Oh god. Luna asks, what is your favorite chord? That's a very interesting question.
What is my favorite chord? I actually do have an answer. I do have an answer. I want to show you something quick. I'll try to be quick because I know you have to go.
Yeah, I have to stop myself from asking more questions as well. I'm very keen to
That
learn
should be the
more.
last question. I'll keep going on my end. So if you have more questions, you can try. Should I? I shouldn't be saying that. I shouldn't be plugging my stream here. All right. So
No,
I'm
you
gonna play
should.
this, and you're gonna recognize it immediately, right?
Uh-huh. Da 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 da.
That is the waltz the flowers. And when I studied that, there was a chord that I really didn't understand, which is this one. And this is my favorite chord. This is called a common tone diminished chord.
Huh?
It's a purely decorative contrapuntal chord, and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Decorative? Does decorative just mean that the way it's written is like excessive? Or
It means it's not a functional chord. It's not like a dominant, predominant, tonic, or whatever. It's purely a again contrapuntal decorative chord.
huh? What's
It's meant as a decoration of another chord. We can go into decorations in decoration versus development in future lesson, but it's beautiful. I love this chord. I've used it a lot. I love it. It's so good.
I've been pushed even further out to sea. I see. I mean, it definitely sounds flowery. It sounds decorative. That's a very cool favorite quote to have. I can see why you would enjoy it. Okay. Let me see. I'm so sorry. I gave you this question in preparation, which was, what are some different styles of classical music? And allegedly, apparently Sidonia went and prepared a lot of like history research for it. I'm so sorry if you did that. And we didn't actually get to the question.
We definitely don't have time to answer this now, but we can go over that next time.
Yeah, maybe we will have to organize a sequel because I definitely do want to hear your answer to this question. I'm sure you have a lot prepared that you wouldn't want to go to waste. But okay, I do have one very last question. Very chill question, which is, what is your favorite part of composing?
That is a difficult question.
No!
I'm kind of tempted to say everything, but I have to choose.
Yeah.
So my choice would be the orchestration. Because that's what I explained like in the beginning. This is where you can really do a lot of work with the emotions and the subtlety and everything. That's what turns a sketch into a full piece of music, and this is where all the magic happens.
I see. Very fascinating. Very fascinating. Thank you so much for being here once again. For spending your time.
Very interesting composition.
Yeah. It's been so fascinating for me. My brain has been enlightened. I'm a different person now. I'm so grateful for all that you've like prepared for this. Yeah, spending your valuable time enlightening us. If anyone once again has more questions, like Sidonia said, you can visit Sidonia right here. And actually, I mean, what better way to end this stream than to bring you right over to Sidonia if you haven't already gone over there. Get in there! Get in! One more thing. Okay. We're about to go into ads, so we have to say very, very quick goodbyes, unfortunately. No good at
Yep.
creating. All I can do is learning the chords of a song I like. That's a start though, right? Isn't it? Will the VOD be up
It's a
for future
start.
reference? Yeah. The VOD will definitely be up for future reference. I myself will be coming back to this for future reference. This is like a quality professional music 101 lesson for free from the amazing side. Yeah.
You
So
should
please-
upload you should upload the video to YouTube as private or unlisted so that you can keep it forever. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Twitch is gonna delete it.
Yeah, that Twitch is annoying that way. I do have like a VOD channel, but I haven't gone through and properly unprivated everything yet, which I definitely should do. If I get the time, I will definitely want to try and like clip something sometime, perhaps to make a more like short, concise version of this. But, oh my gosh! Wait! Actually, the raid came too quickly. Sorry. Wait, I did the raid message first. Wait.
Oh, I did get
Wait, hang
raided
in there,
with
guys.
raid.
We're gonna raid. Hang in there, please. Okay. It's in like the Japanese train employees pushing civilians into trees. That was such an educational stream. Everyone say thank you to Sidonia. Thank you so much.
Thanks
you,
for being
Sensei.
here.
Thank you, Professor. You're so cool, Sidonia. All the wonderful guests I've had so far this week have been so wonderful. And I'm grateful to be graced by your music. Once again, thank you for the amazing BGM that you've written for me. And anyone who hasn't heard it yet, all you have to do is listen very closely at the start of the next stream. It's beautiful, and I treasure it so much. I literally squealed when I got it. I listened to it
I
for the
remember
first
that.
time.
I didn't hear
Yes!
this full, but I remember your reaction.
Yeah! It was so out of left field. No one's written music for me before. It's like amazing. Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good evening. And until next time, have fun with Sidonia. Bye bye.
Bye, Sneaky.
Bye